I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast episode number 140. This one's with Shayla McDaniel, and we kind of talk about her journey into music. But we did end up talking a lot about movies on the front end because it was right around the time of the Oscars. It's great talk. I've known Shayla for quite a bit. She's a very talented musician and songwriter. Really enjoy her stuff, and I know you will too. If you'd like to learn more about Shayla, go to her website at shaylamcdaniel.com, ShaylaMcDaniel.com. God, I hope I spelled that right. I think I did. But go on there. She has a Patreon. Make sure you go on and subscribe to her Patreon. It's not super expensive, and it really helps support her in making music. Support her Patreon. Follow her on all the socials. You know the deal. But thank you to Shayla for being on. Sponsor this week is Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a graphic design, illustration, and social media consultation company based here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So they do work for clients big and small all over the country, all over the globe, in fact. But they also do photography, videography, video editing, and audio editing, website design, SEO, writing, content development. Hell, they'll babysit your kids if it nets them money. So make sure you give them a follow on social media on either Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn at Feral Giant. And be sure to give them an email today and hire them for your next project. Without much further ado, here's the episode. Are you a movie nerd?
I don't know if I'm considered to know enough to be a nerd, but I really like movies.
So I'm
Enjoy them.
I'm working my way through all the Oscar films. And
oh, that's cool.
I try to do that every year. And this year I'm going to skip 2 of them because I can't do it. I can't.
Which ones?
I can't see Avatar. I can't see Avatar.
Oh, I still haven't seen the first one, man. To be honest.
Thank you.
It just, I don't know. Like, I feel like, was I in high school or college when it came out? It just like, seems like a good story, but it just doesn't seem like, and I'm all for sci-fi, fantasy, animated, but it just, no.
I'm going to look it up because I can't remember the other name. There's one that's a foreign film that I've liked that director's previous 2 films. Mm-hmm. But this new film, the trailer, which is 2 minutes long, has a full minute of puking. And I was like, not going to do it. Not going to do it. Triangle of Sadness is what it's called.
Oh, do you know what it's about?
It's so spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it and still wants to see it, even though it's been out for a while. It starts out, what is that show? Upstairs, Downstairs was a British show, but there's a more Downton Abbey.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
So it's more of people on a yacht, a mega yacht, that it's the rich people and the poor people who are working on the boat. So they hit turbulent waters, and for a full minute, it's puking.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of gross. That would actually pique my interest. Like, I love explosive vomiting and diarrhea.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
No. Okay, I'll
like
get to that.
In Bridesmaids. Oh my gosh.
Oh, no. So, oh my God.
Sorry.
So, you got very excited by that. So, in the film, that's apparently just a part of it. And then they end up shipwrecking, and it's almost like what's the old book about the
Lord
kids?
of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies. Oh,
Oh, I love it.
I can't hear you as well.
Uh-oh. Sorry, I was trying to watch my gain. I was laughing and being loud, and it started turning red.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I think there's a short in my cable. Sorry
okay.
about that.
No. So, um, apparently it turns into Lord of the Flies. And so I was talking to a friend of mine. And I was like, man, I like that dude's two previous films, Force Majeure and The Square, but I can't do this because the puking. He was like, and he just looked at me and he went, there's a lot of puking. I was like, all
I
right.
might have to watch it.
Oh my God. So I watched Babylon part last night, part this morning, and it opens up with an it shows an elephant's butthole and it
What the heck?
for a solid 45 seconds. And I just did the thing that I learned as a kid, which I just did that.
That's smart.
It's
I've
like,
never thought about that before. Oh, that's genius. Oh
so
my
so
gosh.
anybody listening, I'm not going to tell you what I just did. You're just going to have to figure it out. But I watched Babylon and it's not that good.
Okay.
It's about the silent film era, then the talkies start coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that, but it's all about the excess. So there is so much like graphic. I'm not a prude, but there's just so much graphic stuff in it. I was like,
Too
I got
much.
it. I got it, but I don't need 3 hours and 9 minutes of this.
No.
Yeah. And I'm in the middle of watching Elvis, which
Is it good?
I still can't believe that movie is nominated for an Oscar. Like,
Oh, is it bad? Just not good enough to be Oscar worthy.
I'm not the biggest so the guy who directed it, Boz Lerman, did Great Gatsby, Romeo and
Mm-hmm.
Juliet in the 90s. He did this film
Mm-hmm.
called Australia. I'm not a Boz Lerman person. It's
Okay.
too much. Elvis's story is so weird
It
and
is.
so complicated, and I don't know. It's weird for a film to come out in 2022 about Elvis
True.
and try to gloss over some parts, but also not address other parts. So it did make me Google to make sure that I was correct on certain things. And it turns out I was. It's like Little Richard.
Mm-hmm.
I love Little Richard. He's hilarious. And he is the godfather of rock. Him and James Brown are the two
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
think, oh no, these are the two people who started rock and roll. And you can also add Sister Rosetta
Tharpe. She's
Sister
like the grandma.
Yeah, with the guitar playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the godmother but it's Little Richard kind of talked out of both sides of his mouth about Elvis. Whereas he both was like, if I was white, I would be bigger than Elvis. And then at the same time, he was like, you got to respect Elvis. It's like, dude, come on, man. But it also, we have all this time. So it's like, there's articles with Little Richard from like 1985, then like 2000. And it's time. And Elvis is such a weird dude. I will say the biggest takeaway that I already knew, and I hope more people understand about the movie, is how awful Colonel Tom Parker was. Like, Elvis never got to go overseas because Colonel Tom Parker would have been arrested. He couldn't go overseas. Like, Colonel Tom Parker is the actual villain of the story. And that is 100% correct. My takeaway from everything I've read and stuff on Elvis is Elvis was a simple dude. Like, he was just a nice dude who loved his mom. Like,
that's sweet.
And that he got caught up in the whole Memphis Mafia, his, putting a crew around him. And I think if he would have just been a dude singing, it probably would have been 100% different. I don't know. Elvis is a complicated story, but I think he didn't have a lot of hate in his heart or ill will towards people. Like I don't know. Elvis is weird. That's a weird story.
Yeah.
But yeah, the takeaway is Colonel Tom Parker was awful. Elvis loved his mama. And if you really want to hear innovation in music, go back and listen to old James Brown and Little Richard and Sister Rosetta Tharpe, because it's insane to look at the date on when all of that was happening. Especially
Yeah.
James Brown is one for me where it's like, dude was doing stuff that was insane at a time. He was 20, 30 years ahead of
For
everybody
real.
else.
He
But
really
he was also a
was.
dick. He was also a dick. I do know that. Like, because I've heard the stories about his band being like, oh, if you weren't note perfect, he gave you your money and you left.
Dang. At
So,
least he paid them. I'm not taking up for that mean
yeah.
behavior, but at least he paid them
Yeah.
for the time they were
Yeah.
there.
And I'm trying to remember who it was. Somebody I heard in an interview who was backing band for Chuck Berry when he was doing later in his career, when he was doing the country fair circuit, how
Mhm.
he would want all of his money in a briefcase. He would be handed it before he got out of the car.
Oh my
He would
gosh.
walk it on stage with him and it would be sitting at his feet on the stage. He would play his songs. He wouldn't rehearse with the band. And then he would walk off
Mhm.
stage with his money and leave. I was like, that's amazing. That's,
It's a
I,
whole trip.
I love that. I love that story.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. I didn't
It's,
know that.
yeah, it's weird looking through anything with 2023 eyes because
Yeah.
everything is awful back in those days. Everybody was
Yeah.
awful. Everybody was
Yeah.
awful. So,
Mm.
trying to think of anybody who wasn't awful back in those days. Johnny Cash seemed to be okay.
Yeah, he didn't beat his wife or anything, which is
No,
good.
he did leave his previous wife, which is not
Yeah.
great.
Not great. But I don't know. That's always the first thought that I get when I think about singers in that time. Because I just watched, what was it? The the Clark sisters
Mhm.
biopic by Lifetime, I think it was.
Okay.
And it was really good. Like at first I was like, oh, this is gonna be another one of those like made for TV biopics. But it was actually really good. And Kiara Clark Sheard actually played her mother in the movie. It was a really good movie. All their lives were like, you know how music was kind of back
Yeah.
then. Like there were great wins and there's like sad stuff. It's good. I don't know if it's still on. I don't know what I watched it on. I have like Xfinity. So I
Yeah.
don't know if it was like a on-demand thing or if it's on Netflix or Hulu somewhere. But it
I'm
was
good.
good. I
I'll
enjoyed
look
it.
it up.
Yeah.
Biopic from Lifetime. Huh, interesting.
I think they did such a good job because a lot of the sisters are still living. I think actually all of them are still living, so they had like input. So, but I don't know.
Interesting. I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird. I'm talking like Mario. It's a weird. It's weird. All these biopics, like the Whitney Houston one, came out.
I still haven't seen that one. Have you seen it?
No, I feel like it's going to be too glossy and shiny. And
Me
Whitney,
too.
Whitney was
Yeah.
not glossy and shiny. Like
Yeah.
it is wild, like knowing like her backstory and the church and everything, and then
Yeah.
just like if you want to end it on her doing the national anthem during the Super Bowl, maybe that's a
Yeah.
good place to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And my thing I think too is like this might be a surprise. I'm not a huge fan of musicals.
Okay.
I can do like Disney musicals, like
Okay.
the cartoons and animated and stuff. And then like what is it? Movies that are about music, like these biopics where like, oh, they're rehearsing, they're gonna sing, or they're going on tour, they're gonna sing. I'm not like the person, oh, I'm mopping the floor and I break out into song.
Yeah.
I used to like Little Orphan Annie, like the original one when I was little.
Yeah.
But like as I got older, I was like, musicals just aren't my thing. Now, stage play musical is different, but like
Yeah.
oh, actually, there is one other exception too. There's one with um oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Forrest Whitaker. It's a Christmas musical, and it was like
Huh.
co-produced, co-written by John Legend.
Huh.
It came out in like 2021 or something. It's on Netflix,
Huh.
and it's like the music is actually really. It doesn't. You know how like show tunes sound like show tunes. These don't really sound like show tunes, but it's like Christmas and it's kind of whimsical. It's about some like inventor or something. But just search on Netflix Forrest Whitaker, and it's like the Mr. So and so story.
I
And
think I remember seeing that like targeted at me for like a holiday
yeah,
film.
it was
Whitaker.
actually really good. Like I said, I'm not a musical person, but it was a musical, and it's a kids movie, but it's a good kids movie.
So
I say it's a full
2021.
or
Okay.
2020ish, somewhere in there. It was during the pandemic before like things really started to open up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. I'm going to here I can't remember the term who said this term, but they were like the audience sitting at home listening, shouting at their ham radios. Uh, it's called, here it is. I found it.
Jingle
Jingle
Jangle.
Jangle.
Yes, Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey.
Yep.
And at the end, I was like, dang, that music was good. And then I saw John Legend and like two other people roll by. I was like, that's why the music was so good.
So I will say, I got to remember to come back to two that I think you would like. That if anybody asked me about musicals, I was like, these are the two. And they're kind of in line with what you say. I watched that Spirited with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds and Octavia Spencer.
Spirit. Ooh, I can't spell. I'm trying to write this down. Spirited.
It's awful.
Okay.
Awful.
It was bad. Oh, let me not write it down then.
Yeah. I think I have this app called Letterboxd or website where you can log, and I think I gave it half a star. I was like, I want my time back. Because it was also like 2 hours and 10 minutes. I was like, I want my time back, man. I can't. So
that's too long.
The two that I always give credit to are the film Once. Have you ever seen it, from like 2006?
No, I remember it being out, but I haven't seen it.
So it won an Oscar for best song for that Falling Slowly song. But it is a busker singing, and then this woman walks up and starts talking to him, and it's their journey about making music, and is it beautiful.
Okay.
I've heard bits. It got turned into a actual Broadway musical, and it won a ton of Tony Awards, but it sounded too, sing
show
song
tunesy.
It's like, no, I like how rough their voices are. Like, that's what makes this beautiful. Like, it's a great film. And then the other one is That Thing You Do from the 90s. The Tom Hanks.
That one is actually on my list. I didn't know it was a musical.
Well, they sing. They're a band and they sing throughout.
Oh, okay.
So it's not, that's what I mean is
okay.
Both of those, I feel like that's, you said what I like when it's not, you just stop and bust into song, where music is integrated into which I need to watch That Thing You Do again. Like, it's got heart. It's got a lot of humor to it. I just love that film. It's great. It's one. Awesome. Of course, it's Tom Hanks. Of course, it's wonderful. And he wrote and directed it too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
I like your
mind. There you go. You've got two films. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And I think Once is like super short. Like, it's like an hour and a half. Like,
that's that perfect length right there. Yeah. That's a sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas I've watched Babylon and Elvis, which are both, I think, 3 hours plus. And then I'm going to watch The Fabelmans, Spielberg's film, which is 2.5 hours. And it's just like, good Lord, I'm tired.
You need to start breaking them into like episodes, like 45-minute episodes.
So that's what I did with Babylon last night. I was like, I ain't got enough time to watch all this tonight. I'll watch part of it tonight, part of it in the morning. And that's what I did. When I came back this morning, I literally almost hit play and I went, okay, let's finish this damn thing. I think I gave it 3 stars, and I said I gave it an extra star for just how big it was. I was like, but other than that, I would have. Nope. I did this last year for the Oscars. I love this that we're 20 minutes in and we still haven't talked about music, but that's
okay. This
is what I love about this podcast. Like, I watched all of them last year, all 10 of them, but I watched like 6 of them on the Saturday and Sunday of the Oscars.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Like, I just sat here I was like, all right, let's watch this one. Okay, now let's watch this one. And
that's so much fun.
It was, well, the problem is most of the Oscar films are sad.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I didn't think about that. That was a lot of sad to sit through for 2 days of just like, good God Almighty, please stop. Please make it stop. But I think the 2 weirdest ones that I think are in there are Elvis and Top Gun Maverick, which Top Gun Maverick is a lot of fun. But
okay, good.
It is. I'm trying to remember what my mom said. She has a phrase she uses for stuff like that. She's like, the machismo is just dripping off the screen. I was like, yeah, it is, Mom. Yeah, it is. It was so my friend and I, we went and saw it, and I'm going to imitate what we look like at the end of the film. So we're watching the film, and then at the end of the film, we both looked at another like this. We were so happy. We were so good. We were so happy with that movie. Oh my God. And the first one is terrible. I rewatched it
and I had to keep stopping because it was so bad.
I feel like the best part of the first one is that song, "You Take My Breath Away."
Yeah,
That's really all I remember about the movie is that killer song. The rest
you're
of it's
good.
just like, "Meh."
Well, Danger Zone. Come on, Danger Zone, Danger.
Yeah, it's true.
But
Speaking of,
I
go
will
ahead.
say, I was going to say the new one starts out with Danger Zone, so you get that quick hit of
Nice.
no. So speaking of, sorry,
Oh no, earlier you said one movie was just like really big. I don't know
Yeah.
if this is the right word. So have you seen Dune?
yeah,
Okay. So like I watched Dune with my family. Like and I had picked the movie that day. And like the church, I was like, Dune, it should be good. Because it's got nominated for all this stuff. And that movie was like, to me, I'm not gonna do any spoilers because to me the movie wasn't good enough to remember things. Like, and I think it's based on a book, right?
right.
I don't know if they just totally did not do the book justice or what, but like Dune, like the whole sci-fi future dystopian, all that stuff is right up my alley. And the movie was absolutely gorgeous. The soundtrack was phenomenal. The color and lighting and the photography and all the aesthetics of the movie were perfect. And then the end, like when we got to the end of the movie, it was just like I was waiting for like I thought it was gonna be a slow burn type movie where it's like super slow and like boring, and then like the last 15 minutes everything just comes together and it's like, oh crap, what? But for me that didn't happen. And like the best way for me to describe Dune is just the movie is literally just a vibe and an aesthetic. Like I
It's
get the storyline, but like that, I feel like they could have done the fact that it's based on a book. I feel like they could have done such a much better job. I haven't read the book, so maybe the book isn't that good. But
I
just knowing it's based on a book, it should have been, oh, this is amazing. But then I went back and looked at the awards it won. I was like, I should have looked at what awards it was. It was just for aesthetics. It wasn't for the story or
so
anything.
I will tell you, people are yelling at their ham radios right now.
Uh-oh.
Dune, I
I'm
think
so sorry.
I've got two friends that love that first book, and I think it's actually really accurate to the book. But
Oh,
people
no.
love it. Like
Okay.
people, but I also think the book will end up, I can't remember if they're going to make 2 or 3 of those films, but the book will essentially be 2 or 3 films. Like they
Okay.
couldn't just film one book. See, I didn't like the color on it because it felt like it was all brown and gray and drab.
I
Like-
felt like that was like part of the
Yeah.
how they were trying to make us feel. But like I do like the storyline. I will say that. Like
Okay.
the whole thing with the kingdom ship. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like the whole storyline is great. I guess I don't like the way it was executed, if that's the right way to say it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was like, this will be interesting, and like I don't know. I just really liked everything, but it just didn't hit home for me. I
Okay.
guess. I don't know.
So I will say, have you seen any of that director's other films?
I don't remember who
No, man.
directed it.
Denis Villeneuve. So he did the ones he's most known for are Arrival with Amy Adams.
That's on my watch list. It's been
Okay.
on my watch list for like I feel like a decade now.
You talk about a sad movie. That is a sad
Uh-oh.
movie.
Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, but it also uses one of my favorite pieces of music, Max Richter's "On the Nature of Daylight." Like that's one of my favorite pieces of music. He did Sicario, which is brutal. It's about the
That
Mexican
one's on my watch list too. I still haven't
American.
seen it.
Yeah,
Ugh.
and then he did Brothers. He did a bunch of films for that were Spanish language films, but then he did Blade Runner 2049. Now, if you want to talk about a
Ooh.
vibe, Blade
Ooh.
Runner
I
2049.
liked that one though.
Yeah.
I like the first Blade. I love the first Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And I really like the second one too. Like I think both of those are really good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, you talk about great soundtracks, both of those.
yeah.
So the second one, it was funny. My buddy and I went and saw it at 11 o'clock at night, and it's a 3-hour movie.
Oh
and,
no.
and I'm not kidding. There was a point where he fell asleep, and I was like, do I wake him up? No. And I let him sleep, and 30 minutes later, he woke up, and we were like the only two in the theater, and he looked at me, he was like, what did I miss? I was like, literally one thing. This movie is so, I love this movie, and it's so slow, but you
Yeah.
missed, here's what happened. And he was like, cool. And he said later he watched it, he was like, holy crap, I did not miss anything other than glorious shots. Like that's
Yeah.
one of those, every frame is a painting. Like it is
Exactly.
just gorgeous. So
I love it,
yeah.
man.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I talk about some more sci-fi movies?
Yeah, go for it. So I'm not a huge sci-fi person.
Oh.
No.
I didn't know that.
No, and I've actually got a bunch of them here to watch, like old ones, because I
Those are so
love
good.
I love 2001: A Space Odyssey. because that's
Mm.
another one. It's just slow and it's the filmmaking.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay.
When you said old, I'm thinking like 70s, 80s sci-fi, which is not technically old because that's like in our lifetime, but
So
it's not like 2001 old.
so the ones I have are Silent Running, Capricorn One, The Black Hole, and 2010, the year we made contact, which
Mm.
is the sequel. So
I
those
didn't
are
know
those
that.
70s. But you've got those are just ones. I've seen The Black Hole, but I was a kid. But you've got
Mhm.
like when you talk sci-fi, are you talking space or are you talking like Soylent Green in 1984? Those kind of films.
That's a lot because to me personally, I don't know if this is accurate, but to me, I include like 1984 Soylent Green as like dystopian, but like a subsection of
Yeah.
sci-fi.
Yeah.
Just mentally, when I say sci-fi, I mean anything from like iRobot to like 2001: A Space Odyssey to like Predator versus Alien.
Okay.
Like to me, technically, superhero stuff is sci-fi, but I don't count that
Hmm.
because technically it is to me, but it's like it's in its own category, superhero
Yeah.
stuff. So when I
Yeah.
say sci-fi, I mean like anything in that broad category.
Yeah. I get that.
but but
I will tell
yeah.
you, I'll give you three that I watched a lot as I tell you, one of my top five is a sci-fi film, Back to the Future. Back to the
Oh
Future is a
yes.
perfect film.
Oh, okay, the third one, I don't know what it was, but I kept falling asleep on the third one.
Oh,
I have not finished the third one.
I think it's I
Where
grew
they're
up with
like in the West or
yeah.
something.
I grew up with the Westerns, so I loved it. I will say, and if I ever meet him, I'm gonna say this to him, even though he doesn't like talking about it. The guy
Uh-oh.
who played Biff, Thomas Wilson,
Hmm.
who was started out as a comedian, and he had this great podcast episode on the Nerdist where he talked about like meeting Richard Pryor when he was young, and like
Uh-huh.
all this George Carlin. He saw Sam Kinison do his first like stand up, like
Wow.
all this stuff, but he hates talking about Back to the Future because that's all anybody wants to talk to him about.
That's hilarious.
And so, but I want to tell him, I was like, dude, I think he deserved at the end of the third film some kind of special Academy Award because the range he did on those three
Yeah.
films is absolutely bonkers. It's
Yeah.
absolutely bonkers. His range on those three films.
It's crazy. And I didn't know he was a comedian until you
Yeah.
just said that. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's talent right there.
In fact, he had a Vimeo page and he posted a vlog like in 2009, like really
Mhm.
early, of him leaving McGee Tyson Airport because he had played Side Splitters here. Yeah.
Oh wow,
And I
that's
was
so
like, holy
cool.
crap, he's in. That's how I found his blog is I searched Knoxville and there he
Uh-huh.
was. I was like, what? What?
Dang.
Biff was
That
here.
is so cool.
But I'll
Oh
give you
man.
three films from when I was a kid
Yes.
in the order. Let's see. Flight of the Navigator.
Hmm.
Or no, I'll give you four. Last Starfighter. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
So Last
There's
Starfighter.
so many movies I need to see.
I
I'm like, I
know.
feel so
Well, and you
behind.
weren't born when these films came, but these were four films that when I was a kid, I watched them all the time. Flight of the Navigator is a kid gets really good at a video game, an arcade
Hmm.
game, and it's actually a recruitment tool for aliens to come for him to be the last Starfighter.
Ooh.
Now the effects
Ooh.
in it are terrible. They're
That's okay.
absolutely terrible. But it's a good film. And then
Yeah.
wait, that's the last Starfighter. Fly of the Navigator is this kid falls and hits his head, and all of a sudden it's like 10 years later.
Oh
And it turns
man.
out he was in this alien ship. And it's a good movie. Like it's a good kids movie.
Yeah. I love
And
kids
then
movies.
batteries not included.
What's
Same
that
thing.
about? I feel like I might have seen. Oh,
I
same
just
thing. Okay,
I
maybe I
just
haven't.
realized all four of these are all space movies and
I
alien
like
movies.
space and aliens.
So oh God, I gotta give you two more outside of this. Good Lord, I love the homework part of all this. So batteries not included is it's this old couple in New York that they own an apartment building. This
Mhm.
old like 3-story apartment building, and New York is changing in the 80s. So they're trying to tear it down, but they have all these like artists and
Mhm.
all these people in this and they don't want to give it up. And all of a sudden these two little aliens spaceship things come down and they're like robots. And
This kind of feels so familiar. I feel like I might
it's
have
yeah,
seen this when I was a kid, but I don't know.
it's
I'm gonna
a
have to
heart
rewatch it though for sure.
yeah, it's a heart wrencher. And then my favorite film as a kid was Explorers.
Okay.
That was Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix's first film. and it's about these three kids that start getting dreams about this alien thing, and then they build a spaceship. Spoiler alert, because this happens like 45 minutes into the film. They build a spaceship out of a tilt-a-whirl, and they
that's so cool.
go to space. Like, spoiler alert, that's an hour and 10 minutes into but
thank you. But I'm still gonna watch it. It sounds
but
fun.
that one is also another one that the score is beautiful. I love it. The two other films I would recommend are, if you shoot, I already lost it. There's one from the 70s and I've lost it. But Tron Legacy is a slept-on film. You talk about great score in the visual.
Is it the second one or first one?
Second one.
Okay.
The first one's okay because it was for its time, and it's kind of boring. But the second one is should get a lot more credit for what it was.
Okay.
Gotcha. If I can remember what the 70s one was, I'll tell you, but I've lost it. Nope, it's not there. Whatever it was.
No, I'll make a note and try to come back to it later.
Yeah.
If you remember.
Okay. Well, that was movie talk for.
Wait. Can we do some more movie talk?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I do like westerns. For some reason, I don't know why I kept falling asleep on that Back to the Future, the third one. Maybe it was the time I was watching it, like a nap time or something. But I just finished Westworld.
The TV show.
Yes. Did you watch it?
I watched season 1, but I knew there were such big gaps in between seasons. I was like, I'll wait till this is all over and sit and watch it. But I also, season 1 was hard to get through because I felt like it started strong and in the middle it just kind of middled. Pun unintended. But then it ended so strong. I was like, crap, now I can't wait for next season. But
yeah,
I haven't gone back.
So I didn't start watching it until season 2 had just finished. So I had season 1 and season 2 to watch, and then I waited for season 3 and 4. But yeah, they take like 2 years in between to film it.
Yeah.
But like, it's really good. And I was kind of mad because I saved the last episode. I've been sitting on the last episode until like yesterday night. But they pulled it off HBO Max.
I heard about this, which is so stupid.
I think so too, especially since it's an HBO original. It's like, well, yeah, because it's based on a movie from the 70s that was based on a book.
Which I have seen. I have seen that movie, and it is good. It is good, but it's totally like, set your expectations separately.
Oh yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
But like, in the way it evolves each season is so amazing. The acting is awesome, and that music, man. Okay, so yesterday, after I finished it last night, I was just walking around humming do 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 do, just like all day. I'm like, oh my gosh, stop. And then I like how they use like, of course, original scores, but also they have like Seven Nation Army in there. That's a recurring theme song. Like they'll play it in like old player piano western. I'm like, I know this song. I was like, oh wait. And then they have like Paint It Black in like another season, which was in another kind of vibe thing. I'm not going to say too much, but people are hinting that it's going to come back. They just don't know when or what channel, but that's a good one. And there was a western I watched, a couple of them. What is it? The Magnificent Seven remake a few years ago was really good. I used to watch the 90s TV show, and I used to watch Walker, Texas Ranger with Chuck Norris.
So this is where I get frustrated because the original Magnificent Seven, which funnily enough, the original Magnificent Seven from like 67, the star of it, Yul Brynner, is the star of Westworld, the movie in the late 70s.
Oh, snap.
He plays the Western robot.
Gotcha.
But that original is one of my favorite films. And when I was actually excited, what's funny is there used to be this website. I can't pull what it was called, but it was saying like, they're going to remake Magnificent Seven. Who would you pick? And in the comments, I picked, and I got 2 of them right.
Nice.
I picked Denzel for the Yul Brynner role, and I picked Chris Pratt for the Steve McQueen role. But this was also at a time when Chris Pratt was still okay, where he wasn't a weirdo like he is now. Like, but it was. I was like, man, I was so excited, and I went and saw it. I was like, there's a lot of good in this, but there was a little too much machismo dripping off the screen, to quote my mom.
I still thought it was fun. And like my favorite parts are like those little, I don't know if they're ad libs or not, but there's one scene where they're like teaching people how to shoot, and you just hear, pinch my finger. And then there's another one, something happens where I don't remember what happens at the shooting scene, but you just hear, we ain't gonna shoot no more. It's like there's like tons of little lines like that
Yeah.
in that movie that I love, and I think I like the whole good guys and bad guys thing, and like shooting guns and riding horses. It's so generic and tropes, I
Yeah.
know, but I
Well,
like that. And then like the comedy parts in it, like the action, the comedy, I feel like balance them. Is this the movie where there's like a ninja with two knives in it, or is that another Western movie I'm thinking about?
oh, I don't remember a ninja in that film, but
Okay, there's another movie then I need to tell you about. I think I know
okay.
which one it is.
Well,
Sorry.
so I will say with that one, I think it was Denzel and Chris Pratt kind of disappointed me, whereas I felt like all the other side characters were great. Like
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke and then Vincent D'Onofrio, that he had that really high pitched
Yeah.
voice. And I remember when he walked out and did that voice, I was like, man, that is a choice. That is a bold
Yeah.
choice. I was like, but for some reason it works.
Yeah.
Those two I thought were great. And there was an indigenous man both on the good side and the bad side. And I thought those two
Yeah.
guys going at it was brutal and amazing. It was just
Mhm.
top tier. Like I loved it. But I don't know. I thought Denzel and Chris were a little too swaggery for me. I was
Yeah.
like, come on, guys, man. We got it. You're in a Western.
Yeah.
You've already got it. You don't need to put a little put a little cheese on it, man.
Yeah.
But maybe I need to rewatch it. And I will say, a weird thing for me. Here's a weird thing to admit as a dude. There's one woman in the entire film, and her boobs were out the entire film, and I was
I
just
don't
like,
even remember.
I was like, guys,
That is
we're o-
bad though.
if we're only going to have one woman in this film, can
Don't
we
make
not
her
have,
like that.
can we not have her boobs hanging out?
For real.
I was like, good. I think that was it. I went in with such high expectations.
That's funny.
And then I was just like, God, come on, I want to like this.
Oh my god.
Anyway, sorry to slag on your movie.
No, it's okay. No,
No.
I like movies people tend not to like, so it's okay.
Yeah.
The other movie, I googled it. The Harder They Fall. So
Oh yeah, with Idris.
yes, and basically they took a lot of old West characters who might not necessarily lived in the same time or interacted,
Mhm.
and put them all in one movie.
Oh, okay.
And that movie was so good because, like, I don't remember the people's names, but there was, I forgot his. I'm terrible with names. There was like a real sheriff or U.S. Marshal. He was like the first Black U.S. Marshal in like
Okay.
real life or something. And I want to say they had run-ins with like Billy the Kid and like a bunch of people who lived kind of in the same era,
Yeah.
but they never actually interacted. They kind of smushed them together, and it ended up being really good.
Okay.
But
I
in
think
my
that's
opinion, I don't
that's
know.
one I
In my
need to go
opinion,
back to. I think that came out during the pandemic. And it was
2021.
yeah, it was at a time where the only things I were watching were stupid or funny. Like I was watching Tiger King. I was
Oh my
watching
gosh.
there were two Dave Bautista films, Little Spy or My
I saw
Spy.
that was cute. I like that one.
And Stuber. I was like, that's what I was watching because I was like, it's so bad out there. I
Yeah.
can't watch these heavy films.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tiger
That's so
King.
true.
Tiger King kind of saved me. As stupid as that sentiment sounds.
No, I feel like a lot of people are like that. I never watched it
Yeah,
because I was like, I don't know, man.
You're
I
good.
don't know
You're
what
good.
this means.
you're good. The funniest thing I found about it was I actually watched season 2 of Tiger King also.
Oh, okay.
And
I
also
know
I
there were
think
2 seasons.
I think they actually split and then they came out with a spec. I watched all of it. Season 2, and I still think this is one of the funniest things in the world. So you remember how I'm not going to say his name, how 45 was like, I'm going to pardon
Yeah,
Tiger King.
that was so dumb.
Yeah. So he said that. So then one of the guys from Tiger King and some big fancy lawyer took a private plane and went to the Capitol because there was a big protest at the Capitol on January 6th. And they were going to say free Tiger King. And I'm not kidding. There's a scene
my
in season
gosh.
2 where the people who stormed the Capitol are yelling at the Tiger King people saying, that's stupid. And why we're here is real. And you need to get the hell out of here. And almost like
Oh my
started
God.
fighting them to where those guys left.
That is crazy. I did not know.
And I was just like, why is more people not
Oh
talking
my
about this? That the idiots who stormed the Capitol
Oh my god.
fussed at the Tiger King people. Like,
That's so American.
yeah. I was like, you couldn't have, what is it? One of those, it's like, you couldn't
You
write
can't make
that.
that up.
You can't
Yeah.
write that. You can't write that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But
Oh
but
my
anyway,
goodness.
Westerns.
Man.
I'm trying to think of other Westerns that I can. A lot of them are heavy duty. Like,
Did you ever see, was it The Searchers with John Wayne in it?
I didn't like it as much. I think everybody hyped it too much for me.
Well, I saw that in a film studies class in high school.
Oh,
And none of us liked that movie.
oh my
We
God.
all liked that. The little boy apparently was like the first child actor to win an Oscar or something.
Okay.
And he didn't do horrible, but he was still not
Yeah.
good. And then
Uh,
just that, yeah, it's and then the way they treated the wife, I forgot her name. I didn't like that at
Yeah.
all.
Well, although in that manner, my favorite Western of all time, Unforgiven, with Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman,
I
and
still have
Gene
not seen
Hackman.
that movie. I still have not seen that movie.
Be careful, because I think it actually shows the real brutality of that time, and it is
Okay.
it is a heavy film, but I also think the last 20 minutes of that film may be some of the best filmmaking ever and dialogue. And it's a
Cool.
weird film that it took me 2 or 3 watches to get it because they actually speak like they spoke back then.
Oh dang.
And it takes you a minute to kind of get into it. But I'll give you one that I think you'll actually like. There's a film from I don't know, from the 2000s called Open Range with Kevin Costner
I
and
love Kevin Costner.
Robert good Lord, from The Godfather. How am I missing
De
his name?
Niro. De Niro.
No.
Right? No. The Godfather. Ooh.
Well, no,
I guess I'm bad with names.
De Niro was in the second Godfather.
That's right.
I'm
Okay.
going to have to cut all of this out because I cannot have this on record that I said this. 2003. Oh my God, he's not even listed in the top actors on Google. That's stupid.
Uh-oh.
Robert not Mitchum. Oh my God. How can I not find his name on here? This is
Is it Duvall?
Duvall. There
Okay.
it is. So Robert Duvall, Kevin Costner, Annette Bening, Diego Luna, who's just in Andor, if you like Andor, the Star Wars show. It's very good. I don't like Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you. There's
He's
so many
Andor.
spinoffs now. It's
Yeah,
hard
he's
to keep
Andor.
track.
But that film, Open Range, is about this group of guys that you could free range, like stay your
Mhm.
cattle on, but it's on people's property. And it's got
Ooh.
humor, which you wouldn't expect out of a Kevin Costner film. And I loved it. We went and saw it in the theater and we're absolutely blown away at how good that
Okay.
film is. Yeah.
Cool.
But it's also wild in that if you think about it for a second, there's a lot of like the wood of buildings is fresh
Mhm.
wood. Whereas in most Westerns, it looks very weathered and stuff. And they're like, no, they were
Yeah.
building all this back then. It would have looked fresh. It would have
Yeah.
looked,
Like
and
it's
there's a
brand
couple
new.
of shootouts in it that are
Oh yeah.
great. They're great. But
Nice.
yeah, Robert Duvall and Kevin Costner are very funny together in that film.
I would never expect
Yeah.
that.
Okay, good Lord. 45 minutes in, and
Okay,
here we go.
wait. Can I say like
Yep.
2 tiny more movie things? Okay, back to like I like basically all movies except for like sappy romance movies. In rom-coms. I'm not a huge
Okay.
rom-com person unless it's a Ben Stiller rom-com. But
Okay.
what was it? Keanu Reeves in the movie. Oh man, I'm blanking
Sandra
on it.
Bullock, The Lake House, where
No,
they
this is a sci-fi movie from like the 80s and it's based in 2021. I watched it in 2021. Something about he like Johnny Mnemonic.
Johnny
That-
Mnemonic, yeah.
And then like all the Schwarzenegger ones like The Sixth Day and then Running Man, all those kind of sci-fi movies.
Okay.
And there was another one that I watched. I love and I like the original Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone.
Really?
Yes.
See, I like the new one.
I love the new one too. I love the new
Yeah.
one too. The new one
Well-
was grittier, but I liked it though.
And
I like all of them.
I will say I rewatched what was it called? The one with Stallone and Wesley Snipes and Sandra Bullock.
Was that Judge Dredd? I feel like he was.
Mm-mm.
Oh no, what was that? 'Cause I know that movie that you're talking about.
Yeah. So that one, I always thought, well, this thing's, over the top and hammy and all this. And then I rewatched it. I was like, oh no, this Demolition Man.
Demolition. I found it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one too.
That was one I
Yes.
was like, holy crap, this is actually like a prescient real film. Like this is
Yeah.
wild. But yeah, I always thought I was like, well, this is going to be cheesy and awful. I was like, no, actually, it's not.
I
Because
like stuff like
yeah,
that. I love it. And then like, okay, last thing about the new sci-fi. So on Netflix, I think it was, there's a handful of them.
mm,
Called it's a trilogy. The third one's not that good. Cube, there's like Cube, Cube 2 and Cube 3. And
yeah,
there's one called The Circle, and it's just people in a room talking, trying not to get killed. I'm not ruining anything, in a
okay,
circle. And there's one called, this one isn't sci-fi as much as just like a psychological thriller. It's called The Exam. And
okay.
those are all, and then there's one, The Game with Michael, not Michael
Michael
Keaton. Michael.
Douglas.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a
You
Fincher
know,
film. Yeah,
I love those. I love that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Okay, okay, I'm done talking about movies now for real.
Now here we are, 47 minutes in, and we're finally going to actually talk about this. Is hilarious. Although I will say I had another podcast where we were going to talk about the science of making pizza, and we were like 20
Ooh.
minutes in, and we had just talked about movies. And he was like, well, screw it. Let's just talk movies on this. I was like, we'll get there. We'll get there. Calm down. Calm down, brother. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this is all about. So,
Yeah.
okay. So another thing that's hilarious that I will give the audience is, because I've already known you forever, I know a lot of these answers, but I'm still going to ask them because there are
Thank you.
people tuning in that will not know this. So, Shayla, I'm going to put my hands on my hip. Are you originally from here?
Not really, but I like to consider myself from here. I've lived here
Okay.
since like 2000.
Okay.
So, I was born in California, moved around a bit, settled here in 99-ish, 2000. Like, I think it might have been January 2000. I don't know. I just say 2000 because it's a nice round year. So, and like, that's the vast majority of my life. So I consider myself a
Okay.
Knoxvillian. Yeah.
What did your folks do? Is that what brought you to Knoxville?
Not really. Like we just kind of wanted to get closer to family, and a lot of my
Okay.
mom's family is here. A lot of my dad's family is either like in kind of Ohio, Michigan, and or down in like Alabama. So family.
You're
I
right in the
mean, we're
middle.
yeah, basically, it's like we can travel about 6 hours north or 4 hours south.
Yeah.
We're good.
So what did they do for a living? What were
Um, so my dad works for the church. He
okay.
teaches Sunday school and does admin stuff. And my mom, she used to what is it? Work in like magazines and journalism and
Oh,
stuff. Like before it got shut down, I think it was one called Storyboard magazine that was like a Disney fanatic magazine, but it was
huh.
not sanctioned by Disney.
Okay.
And she wasn't there super long. I think that was like just like right after college for a bit. And then she was an editor at different various super niche magazines.
Okay.
And so yeah.
So
And
your
then
dad
she started working at church too, so doing different
okay.
things at church.
With
Yeah.
them working at church, were they like in the choir or involved in music in any way?
No, no, they
No.
were just like pure. I'm not trying to laugh at
No.
them, but like just like admin stuff and anything that just kind of needed to be done, whether it's
Okay.
like fixing stuff around the church and just, yeah. My dad, he's been teaching Sunday school now. Shoot, probably almost, well, shoot, it's 2023, so probably 21, 22 years, I think.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you have any siblings, brothers and sisters?
Yes, my brother is 4 years younger than me. His name is
Okay.
Isaiah. I love him to death. Yeah, he's really cool. He,
Okay.
he's really funny too, and he'll
I
go
was
on.
waiting on you to say, yeah, yeah. I put him in his place. I pick on him a bit.
I did used to pick on him quite a bit, but as he started getting older, like shoot, even when he was like really young, he's just really quick witted and on his feet. And I'm the type of
Okay.
person who would come back like the next day. So
You're like,
it's kind of unfair.
you're like, hold up, hold up, hold up. I've got this note right here that I'm going to say
Exactly.
this to you. Yeah. And he was like, what are you even talking about?
I know. He's like, that was 2 days ago.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
So when you were young, did your parents encourage like any of the arts or music into you all, or did you all find that on your own?
Kind of found it on our own. Like they definitely didn't like discourage it. Like really anything we wanted to try, we were allowed to try. Believe it or not, I was a ballerina for like a few weeks.
Okay.
It was like I was like in, I don't know if it was pre-kindergarten or kindergarten or what. But it wasn't like big school yet. But they had a program where you can either pick Kuksulwan, which is a Korean form of martial arts that stands for,
Hmm.
oh crap, I forgot. Dang it. Let me look it up right quick.
Okay.
Cook Soul One translation. Nation okay, it doesn't say it. Anyway, so I had option between that and ballet. I'm
Hmm.
gonna embarrass myself a little here. So I was doing ballet. And I don't know what happened, but something happened. I peed on myself.
Oh,
And I was just so embarrassed. I was doing
yeah.
ballet.
Oh my
And
God.
then I had always been interested, and I still to this day don't like pink. Only time I wear pink is for like breast cancer awareness or something.
Oh my God.
But like, or I'm trying to do something specific for a music video. I don't
Yeah.
like pink. I never liked pink, and run around in pink tutu. Just it could have been. I'm not a huge purple fan either. It could have been purple, but anyway. So I don't know if I was there for like 2 weeks or like 6 weeks. I just remember being there just a little bit and then peeing on myself and
Oh my
quitting.
God. So
And
your
then
I was
go
going to say,
ahead.
did your parents let you try a lot of things to
Yeah,
see
they
what?
did,
Yeah,
which was
that's great.
good. Yeah, and then naturally I was like, "Oh, let's try this Cook So One stuff. I want to be what was the movies back then? The next Karate Kid. I wanted to be Hilary Swank. I want to be a Power Ranger.
Oh my God.
Honestly, I haven't ever really outgrown Power Rangers. I stopped watching it maybe in like 6th or 7th grade, but right now my text tone is doop 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 doop. I kid you not.
So what
And
did you
then
think about the gritty Power Ranger film that came out a couple years ago?
I still haven't seen it. Like I
Okay.
want to see it so bad. And I heard Dacker Montgomery from Stranger Things is like the Red Ranger or something.
Oh, really?
If I'm not
Okay.
mistaken, he's a Power Ranger. I'm like, oh, now I really got to see it.
Well,
But
I think the funniest is I think back in the day, Bryan Cranston may have been on the TV show. Like
actually, I think he played the voice of somebody in there,
yeah, he was the bad guy or something was going on with that. Yeah.
which is
Which I,
hilarious.
yeah, that's, yeah.
Oh, I do like Malcolm in the Middle too. That was one of my shows back in the
Oh,
day.
okay. Okay.
But so yeah, everybody want to be a Power Ranger or what's the other shows that we used to watch? The Three Ninjas, all any kind of fighting
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
That was me. So I started taking to Cooks on at the school with their little after school program thing. And then like I got my parents to sign me up to actually go to they didn't call it dojo because it's Korean, but to the martial arts school and I went
Mhm.
there. And like it was so fun. And Cook Sowan is a type of martial arts where like they teach you nunchucks, bow staffs, how to run up a wall and flip, how to throw people. Of course, at this time I was like 5, 6 ish. So we weren't learning all that. We were just learning moves and like
Yeah.
putting on sparring gear and sparring, which is my favorite part. Um, and then at some point I played soccer for like a year when I got here. What little kid didn't play soccer? I played basketball. The karate thing or the martial arts thing actually stuck because when we first moved here, we were looking for Cook Sowan, couldn't find it. So, excuse me, I ended up taking Taekwondo, which is another Korean
Mhm.
martial art. That one is art of the hand and foot.
Okay.
So I was like, I remember one of them, but like no bow staffs or anything, any of the flips or cool stuff in there. But once I was, I mean, it's still cool. Don't get me wrong, because I got to fight people. But once I was like 11-ish, because
Yeah.
I've been 5'8" since like 5th grade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I've always been a big kid, but like once I was like 10 or 11, they were like, "Hey, do you feel comfortable moving to the adult class?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." My parents were fine with it, so I got to like spar people's parents. My brother was like, "Shayla, if you were thinking, you should have charged kids for hits. You could have been like kick to the head $2, kick to the gut $1, punch to the gut 50 cents." I was like, "That's
There's
genius," but it's too late.
there's that quick-wittedness of your brother. That's amazing.
Exactly. But no, it was fun. I used to love it. But in the adult class though, because we were adults, I say adult. I was an
Yeah.
adult sized child. They did teach us like little maneuvers, like self-defense type stuff. Somebody grabs you on the street, here's how you get out of it type
Hmm.
stuff. If somebody jumps on you and they've got you and they're wailing on you, that kind of stuff. We didn't learn any like weapon stuff, but it was still so much fun and I love it. And I got into what is it? Cobra Kai on Netflix after it moved from YouTube like in 2020
Yeah.
because one of my coworkers had told me about it. I was like, "Oh, she's got good taste. I've got to try it." And then my parents started watching it and now we're all watching it. And like I'm seriously looking for a gym where I can just like suit up and spar people. I don't want to learn any more forms or patterns or technique. I just want to go and like take some hits and give some hits, like quite
Okay.
frankly. I've
Okay.
got a bad knee, which is really what has stopped me for a long
Yeah.
time. I tore up my ACL.
Oh
So
God. Oh.
and I was like, oh my gosh, that was 10 years ago now. Oh my gosh, almost 10 years exactly. So it's just, I'm a little scared, but at the same time, it's like, whatever, I'll be fine. All the people I'm going to be sparring with are probably going to if we're sparring, we're not trying to knock each other out.
Right.
So I'll be fine. If I twist it, I'll be fine. It's not like
Yeah.
I did it playing basketball. I was jumping and I came down funny. But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't even remember what your question was.
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
God. No, it was asking about like your parents like encouraging, like at what point did you get into music?
Oh, okay. So uh music kind of got introduced when I was in third or fourth grade. We had to
Okay.
learn how to play recorder. Apparently that's a thing in America.
Yeah.
I thought it was just Knox County, but it's a whole American
Yeah.
thing. Which I'm not complaining because I loved it. I learned how to read music, treble clef music. And also I learned fingering because that would be a useful one. I bought my Amazon saxophone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
However many years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's when music kind of first started. And then also kind of around that time too, like elementary school, our church had a kids choir called the Sunshine Band. And you say if you wanted to sing and you were a kid, you sang that till you were 12 or really good and good enough to go to the adult choir. Me and my brother didn't want to sing. Like everybody, all the kids wanted to play the drums. Like that's just the cool thing to do is to play the drums.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course, none of us really did. But so I sang in the kids choir at church, and then at some point, the guy who was playing bass, who actually now Jeremy Allen is my bass player / keyboardist / he plays everything. Just depends on the configuration that we need for the band. But he was actually playing bass, and he went off to college and left the bass at the church. And his dad was the music director, and so he asked my brother if he wanted to learn bass. My brother stuck with it for like a few weeks. And was like, I don't want to do this, and I was like, well, I skipped a part a little bit. So at this point, I have violin because there was UT students that came to the school to teach strings. And I was like, bass has strings, violin has strings. I'll learn bass. I'm like, this is kind of cool and kind of fun, you know? And then I've always wanted a guitar. And so we pooled our Christmas money one year and bought a first act guitar from Toys R Us. My brother hung with it for a few weeks and was like, this is kind of dumb. I'm done with it. And guitar was my thing. And it's funny because like maybe a year or so later, we pooled our money again. I bought a first act electric guitar, which I still have to this day. It's like a Stratocaster knockoff.
Okay.
And he bought the little amp that goes with it. And he still with electric for a little bit, and then he kind of backed off. Music is just not his thing. But so that's how music got started. And like of course as a kid I would like write little songs and things, and basically and I got a piano when I was like maybe 13, 14ish, somewhere in there. I love that keyboard. I still use it to this day. I didn't realize how like useful it was until maybe a handful of years ago where I realized I had MIDI. So I can plug it in, play anything, and I can change the instrument that it sounds like from a violin to a trumpet to a synthesizer. And it's so useful. And then I think in 10th grade I got drums. My parents are amazing.
Wait, your parents are amazing. Your neighbors are pissed.
Well, I was in the basement, so I was like in the deepest part of the basement. Like you could hear it in the house, like upstairs, but like outside you couldn't hear it, which was good. But it's funny because our neighbors on that side, their kid actually had a drum kit too, but his drum kit was on like a floor that was not the basement, and we could hear it.
Oh my God.
The good news is he was good and he wouldn't play late at night. So it worked out. But like, yeah, I was in that basement, man. Yeah. I was like, no, I'm not trying to torture y'all any more than I have to. But my parents are the best.
Speaking of torture, there's a buddy of mine that he plays drums, Curvy Mata. I think he may have played in West Virginia. God, Curvy, if you're listening, please don't kill me for not knowing this. I think he may have played in West Virginia, the college in band when he was in college. I think
That's
so.
Cool.
But he plays drums. And there was one point when I bought a banjo because I was like, I want to learn how to play the guitar, but I've heard the banjo is harder. So I'm going to try and learn the harder instrument so I can easily go back into the guitar. And I played it for a while.
Nice.
I never got great. I couldn't do the rolls and chord at the same time. My brain is just not built for that.
That's
built for that. But I told him, he's like, man, we need to start a band. And he was like, and I was like, banjo and drums? And he was like, yeah. It's like, nobody wants to hear that, man. Nobody wants to hear that. Those are two things that no, man. Because he's full on like rock drums and metal drums. I'm like, No, no, no. We're
I
not
could have
going
made a new genre.
I know. I know. Well, and funny, long way around. So my buddy Sean Pointner and I were sitting at a casual pint in Fountain City one day, and this couple came out. We were sitting out there smoking cigars, drinking beer, and the couple, she started up a conversation with us. She's like, "What do you all do?" I was like, "We're in a band." She was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Well, what do you all play?" I was like, "He plays drum, I play the banjo." She was like, "Okay, that's weird." And she was like, "What's your all's name?" I was like, "Farrell Cloggin." And she was like, "Farrell Cloggin." I was like, "Yep, that's the name of our band." And and then for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I just riffed and made up like who we toured with,
Oh
some of our
my
album titles,
goodness.
and I just kept going. And every once in a while, Sean would just go, "That's right. That's right." He never added any more than that. So
Oh my
then
goodness.
cut to, and then they went inside and he's like, "What the hell was that?" I was like, "I don't know. I just felt like messing with people." And so cut to like 6 months later, after I got laid off at the paper, and I was trying to figure out the name of my business. And my original idea was El Gigante Blanco, which is what the waitresses called me at La Esperanza
The
restaurant.
giant white guy.
The white giant, because you know
The
that,
white giant.
yeah,
Yeah.
the adjective is after the noun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was like El Gigante Blanco, and he was like, "I think a lot of people are going to have a problem with that." I was like, "People who have a problem with that are racist and screw." I was thinking about the white people who would look at that and be like,
Yeah.
and he was like, "No, man, I don't think you could." And his wife Dale came up, and I was like, "You're the smarter one of the two of this couple. What do you think about this?" And she just made a face. She went, "No."
That's funny.
And so he was like, "You got the name right in front of you, Feral Giant, from
There
Feral
we go.
Cloggin and El Gigante, Feral Giant." And I was like, "That's a great name." So I went home that night, bought the domain, got all the social media, and that's how I got the
Nice.
name Feral Giant.
I
But
love it though. It's so cool.
it all came from me, from Curvy telling me we needed to start a banjo and drums band.
Oh my gosh.
I also own Feral Cloggin with no G.
Smart.
Feral
Smart.
Cloggin. Okay, so good Lord, you're going from instrument to instrument.
Yeah.
Did you, because I know you write your own songs, did you do any like creative writing, or were you really into English also as a kid?
Yeah, I was into English a lot. Oh, I will have a disclaimer. So my main instruments are bass guitar and guitar. The
Okay.
rest of them, I just know enough to be dangerous. And saxophone is purely for just fun and
Yeah.
exercise. But if I get good enough at it, it might come on stage. We'll see.
So fun side story. So my parents also let me do a lot of different things when I was a kid, and I took
That's so good.
Taekwondo.
Yes.
I was a Cub Scout for 2 years, and I played saxophone in elementary school for
I
a
didn't
year.
know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And I just didn't keep up with it. Now, sports, I've played since I was 4 years old. That
Yeah.
I kept up with, but for whatever reason, I just kept trying those different things, and none of them took hold. Taekwondo, I think it was sports were so immersive. Like we would have,
Yeah.
practice once or twice a week, and then
Mhm.
games.
Yeah.
And then Taekwondo is like once a week or once every 2 weeks. I was like, I need more. If I
Yeah.
had done more, like if I had gone to more classes, I may still be into it, but it just wasn't for me. But yeah, saxophone. I played saxophone for a year in elementary school band.
That is so cool. Oh man.
But yeah. Anyway, so okay, you creative writing. You
Oh, yeah. So I liked English class. I guess the same reason I like movies and books and music is because stories. We got to read good stories.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of a grammar nerd too.
Okay.
I didn't like it per se, but I was decent enough at it. But I loved English classes in high school because we would even shoot like middle school. We would read books and like analyze them and look for the symbolism and the foreshadowing and all this stuff. And I love stories. It's like I'm forgetting how to talk. And then of course poetry unit would always come around and we'd have to write poems. And in my mind, it was like poetry is just a song without the music, but a little
Yeah.
fancier, you know?
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
always so fun. And I used to like when we had to do the free form poems or something. We just got to
Yeah.
write however we wanted to. So what I would do, I just grab some song lyrics and turn them in.
Oh, Oh,
That would
I'm,
save me some time.
we'll cut that out. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Oh, that's totally fine. My teacher knows it. Oh, funny thing about that. So my English teacher, apparently she ran into my mom. It's funny because the way it was at Bearden High School was like my English teacher freshman year ended up being the same English teacher senior year. So she got to see us like progress, which was cool. But I had started kind of like recording my own stuff, like really in sixth grade, bouncing between like a little mini tape recorder to like PowerPoint on Windows. I don't know,
Okay.
97, 99. One of those Windows is, and then back to a karaoke machine and just adding a like I play guitar into the tape recorder, then hit play on the tape recorder and record myself singing along with the guitar into the PowerPoint and bouncing back until I had like a full band. They were horrible, but it was fun and it was I thought it was cool. But so I started doing like that kind of thing in sixth and seventh grade. And then by the time like ninth grade rolled around, my mom had found this Sony recording studio, I think Sony Acid at Staples, and she got it for me. She was the sweetest thing, and she got me this little USB microphone. Not like a microphone, but like a Zoom conference, Skype conference type microphone. But it was really good.
Huh.
And it's funny because it still works to this day. And to this day, my dad still uses that microphone for his Zoom calls.
That's
It's
amazing.
great. It was a great little $10 microphone.
Yeah.
But so I would record and do like music and stuff like that. And it's funny because my English teacher, I don't remember if it was between freshman year and senior year or when it was, but apparently she had ran into my mom at the grocery store and said, "Oh, have you read Shayla's poetry?" And my mom was like, "Shayla writes poetry?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's just beautiful." And thank you so much, Miss Hughes.
Yeah.
And then apparently she told her about my songs and songwriting and stuff too, because I gave her a C. This must have been senior year because I gave her a CD senior year.
Nice.
And these recordings were horrible,
Oh,
but they were good enough to like see what I was trying to do.
right.
But like my parents didn't know any of this. I'm just in my room just like making music, you know. This was pre SoundCloud, or there might have been SoundCloud, but I didn't have internet in my room or whatever. But I was nowhere near brave enough to put stuff on the internet. But yeah, so it's funny because my English teacher actually told my mom, who then of course told
That's
my dad, "Hey,
amazing.
Shayla does poetry and music. We need to ask her about this."
Did your brother give you a hard time about that or no?
No, and actually I kind of feel like he knew because sometimes he would like
Oh,
come
okay.
in and like listen and just watch my studio sessions.
Okay.
And now that I think about it, he didn't. Yeah, he was there quite a bit. And he never really said anything.
Okay.
So that's cool.
Yeah. Good for
Shouts
him.
out, bro.
Man, he's getting he's getting his flowers on this episode. Here, my
Yeah.
sister's 11 and a half years younger than me. If she talks
Oh,
about
wow.
me, she was like, "Oh, he was brutal when I was a kid." I just picked at her all the time because my dad and uncles picked at me. I was the only kid
Oh.
for like 10 years, so they
Yep.
picked at me so much. So yeah, just pass it on down the line.
Yeah. I thought about something. I
Okay.
said I love sci-fi, and I went down a conspiracy theory rabbit hole just for fun on YouTube.
Mhm.
And I was like, instead of watching like possible real conspiracy theories that could confuse me, let me just watch fake ones. So I got into X-Files over COVID. I'm in like season 8, and I absolutely, this is like one of my top favorite shows now. Like this, 24, Criminal Minds, the original CSI, and like The Office and The Simpsons. Like,
So
anyway.
my
Sorry.
parents let me watch a lot of stuff when I was way too young to watch it. And
They didn't let us watch anything.
one of them was X-Files. So I watched X-Files when it originally aired. Like,
Ooh.
and it was, so you remember those first few, that like first season, it's rough.
Yeah.
It's very
like,
rough.
as an adult, I love it, but as a kid, I would not have been able to sleep at all,
Yeah.
man.
Well, it's amazing. Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Nope. Let's see.
We're talking about. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, creative writing and all that. One thing I forgot to ask is, what was the music kind of like you were growing up with? The stuff that started influencing you, or that you had? Was it church music, or were there pop music pulled into?
So, like earlier I said, especially with the TV, our parents didn't let us watch anything.
Mm-hmm.
They did. Surprisingly, we got to watch SpongeBob. But for a second, SpongeBob got banned because there's that one episode he jumps out of his bed in his underwear saying, "I'm ready." Mom was like, "Y'all can't watch this. He's running around his drawers all the time." It's like, "No, Mom." And then she
I was going to say, whereas on the flip side, I was like 7 years old watching Married with Children, which is, oh my God. Like what were they were talking about strippers and talking about Kelly being a woman of ill repute at like 15. She was 15 and my parents are like, this is funny.
But no, like she watched a few episodes on her own and came back and apologized, and we weren't allowed to watch SpongeBob. My
Okay.
dad banned Cat Dog after a few seasons because he just thought it was weird.
He is correct.
It is weird. But on the flip side, I was allowed to watch, I think this is before my brother's time, Ren and Stimpy and Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh yeah.
And learning the history of those two shows, like as an adult, it's like, huh, okay. And then like, what was another one? Ah, Real Monsters. I think I was allowed
I
to
don't
watch
know
that.
that one. But I do know
Um,
Ren and Stimpy. Like Ren and Stimpy, dude named his fart. Like like like
I love that.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But oh, music. So naturally, we grew up listening to gospel music, like gospel, like Kirk Franklin, Hezekiah Walker, Andre Crouch, all the gang.
Yeah.
And we started to, I was like in maybe sixth grade, I think, when I discovered the radio channel, what was then called Love 89. Now I think it's like Air One or something. And it's basically like the contemporary Christian music
Okay.
channel.
Okay.
And I don't know if they're like one of those big syndicated national things or what the deal is. But and that's when I discovered people like Switchfoot and Lecrae and Reliant K and who is it?
Shoot.
Skillet, all those kind of guys, you know, Owl City.
What are the guys? Shoot. They're like a grunge
DC
band.
Talk.
No, they're like a grunge band. Is it it's not Thursday, but it's something along those lines.
It has
Third
a,
day.
yes.
Third day.
They're kind of country-ish. They're like
Oh, they are?
They're kind of grungy, kind of. Depending, like I feel like they do have a few grungy kind of songs,
Yeah.
but most of it's not country. It's more like a southern rock, gritty
Okay.
southern rock kind of.
So
But yes, they're good. Those guys too, like in Audio Adrenaline, like all of it.
I will tell you, there's a guy I worked with that I don't know if the term born again is offensive or not, but he was born again. He was renewed by his faith. That was what got him on the straight and narrow. But he was in a McDonald's and he was sitting there with like the deacon of his church and a couple of kids. And they saw this table full of four guys that just looked rough. They were wearing, they just looked a little rough. And they're like, we're going to go witness to them. And they got up and they went over and started witnessing to them. And it was third day.
Oh, snap. That's hilarious.
Yeah. And he came in and told that story. And I was like, you're an idiot. He was like,
That
I
is
am an
so
idiot.
funny. That is so funny.
Yeah. I was like,
Oh
also,
my
why are the four guys from third day sitting in a McDonald's? Like, aren't they
Like,
bigger? But I guess not.
I
Like,
mean, it might have been in their early days,
yeah,
'cause
I think it
apparently
was.
I found out that they didn't know like what a bass player did or what they needed. Like I saw an interview and the guy's like, "Oh no, we've got 2 guitars and drums or 3 guitars and drums, we're fine." And the guy was like, "No, you need a bass player." And they're like, "We'll see what you got." And then it was like, "Oh, that's what we've been missing."
Yeah.
And it's so sad. It hurts as a bass player to know that people don't really know what it is unless you're like playing funk. But it's like,
Oh,
no, you need like you hear music, you feel bass. That's
oh
how I
yeah.
like to kind of
Yeah.
describe it, you know.
Yeah. That is okay. So you found all those type of bands,
Yeah.
Switchfoot. Yeah.
And there was controversy within that too. So like I was a diehard Switchfoot and Reliant K fan. And I say controversy, and of course listening to like Lecrae and Tripley and who is it, KJ52, all these. Basically, I was listening to Christian rock and
Hmm.
Christian rap. Like, and
Okay.
then there'd be some pop in between sometimes, but mostly that was the two. And then like there was some like punkier kind of bands in there
Okay.
that were like said they were Christian, but like they didn't have like Christian music, but they were still good and all that. They were clean, you know.
Okay.
But like my parents were like they weren't huge fans of, you know how parents can be with rock and roll and
Yeah.
rap. It was
Yeah.
that whole thing, but
Yeah.
it's like, dude, they're literally rapping scriptures at people. It's
That's a
like, oh, and here's another thing too. So, my parents actually, I was like maybe 4.
yeah.
I got to see DC Talk before they were DC Talk. So like my
Oh.
dad had known one of like some guy they performed at some community college in some like gym or something.
Huh.
And I got to see it and I just remember the next day I wanted to be a rock star and a rapper so bad and I was like this is the coolest thing ever. And I just thought it's funny that later it's like I'm listening to like Christian rock and Christian rap. And the first show I ever saw was DC Talk, but now it's like, oh, this is the devil's music. They weren't like that. Obviously, they didn't take and burn my CDs. I
Right.
guess they didn't want me to go too far and start listening to like Marilyn Manson and like real death metal and that
So,
kind of stuff.
so it's so funny. Like I love these two stories about my dad because my God love my mom and dad, but they cuss like sailors and they're unflinchingly brutal. And I remember there was a point where I had Dr. Dre's The Chronic, which had a pot leaf on the CD, and I didn't know what that was because I was
Oh.
12. And the CD was scratched up like when I got it. It was kind of weird. So I took it down to my dad and I was like, this is weird. Look, it's scratched up. And he's like, let me call. So he called the CD store out at Easttown Mall or something. And he's looking at the pot leaf. Now, as an adult, I'm dying because I'm just like, he's staring at a pot leaf going, yeah, my boy's CD scratched and he just got it. So what are we going to do here? Like all that. And then arguing with them for like 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then he once walked in and I was listening to Wu-Tang Clan. And the opening bars are Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to F with. And he just happened to open the door and he heard that and he went, nope. And he grabbed the CD and took it from me. Now I found it like 3 days later and just took it back because
Naturally, yeah.
but it was so funny. Like those two things are seared into my
It's
brain
hilarious.
about like him looking at the pot leaf. But then later him getting I was like, Dad, I learned it from the old commercial from the 80s. I learned it from you, Dad. Like you let me watch Robin Williams comedy specials at like 5. It's like I heard the F word when I was like 2. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, yeah. Okay,
Oh,
so
man.
that was
I'm sorry.
and it was also at that time that you started getting those East Nashville groups like Drew Holcomb and stuff that were kind of Christian-y, but didn't put that on Front
They
Street.
they weren't played on the gospel channels. Yeah.
Right.
And they actually made good music. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because with Switchfoot and Reliant K, they were my favorite bands. Like Switchfoot a little more so than Reliant K. I feel like their stuff was deeper and touched me more as a child, you know?
Okay.
As much
Oh
as
my
a
God.
12-year-old could be touched. So
Yeah.
basically from 6th grade to like senior year in high school for like 6 years, I guess. Those were my two go-tos. And sophomore year in high school, I remember they came to town. They played the Bijou together with another band called Ruth. That was more like an indie rock pop kind of deal.
Okay.
And I was like, I would kill to see them. Tickets were $25. And I was like, y'all, I'll pay. I don't know if I was driving at the time or not. And I'll go and it'll be great. And they said no because I had basketball conditioning. Now, for the uninitiated, conditioning is what you do at your sport before the season starts. So basically, you're weightlifting and running, and that's it. You don't even touch a ball or a bat or whatever it is.
Nope.
And I was so mad because they wouldn't let me go. But what made it even worse, 2 other girls on the team got to go and see the concert. And this was like peak of my life. This was like dreams come true concert.
Yeah.
And good news is I got to see them like Valentine's Day, like 2016, I think, at the Moon Mine.
Oh, okay.
So I was like a full-on grown woman when they came back. The only thing I did not like about that show was, I don't know if it was Colony House or Coin who opened I think it was Colony House. No, it might have been Judah and the Lion. Like, how do you feel about Judah and the Lion?
They're fine. Like I've picked up on a song or two. I think I've seen them before, like 2 or 3 times. I think they played Rhythm and Blooms a couple times.
So like Judah is from somewhere around here, like not Knoxville, but like Sevier County, one of these close by counties.
Yeah.
So like, and he basically cut his teeth here in him and his band. But basically, by the time, well, no, actually, I take it back. I think it was Colony House. So, but all that to say, I went to a Judah and the Lion concert at the Mill of Mine in like maybe 2017. It was weird because like half the crowd was like people like our age, you know,
Right.
and the other half was like 12-year-old girls and their dads. And I was like, this is different.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're a fun band and that's the kind of music they make, you know? And it's like, I probably won't be coming to see another one of these. And just like, I don't know, but it was different. But anyway, so I finally got to see Switchfoot and Reliant K. I remember it was Valentine's Day because at the end of the show, John Foreman, the lead singer of Switchfoot, came out to like the side part. I don't know if it's that taco place now, but it's the west side that's closer to
Taco.
Yeah. And he did a little acoustic concert for us, and he makes a face and everybody looks back, and of course somebody's getting proposed to. It's like a
Oh,
Switchfoot Reliant K concert at the little thing after the show,
yeah.
because the super fans just hung out hoping that somebody would come out and they got
Yeah.
proposed to. So I finally got to see them, and I want to say they're coming back again together this year. I don't know if I'll get to see them this time based on my shows and other shows I've bought ticket to,
I,
but
I I tried with Switchfoot. I could never really get into him, but he did a collaborative album with somebody I like, and I tried listening to that too. And
yeah.
also did. I was like, there's just something. There's some people where it's like it's just a little bit off for me, and
I
can't.
just grew up with them, and I
Yeah,
think that's a
yeah,
lot of what it is. Especially with Reliant K, they have so many pure kid songs. Like, of
yeah.
course, they have serious songs, but like, that just hit me at that, I guess, pivotal point coming of age. I got my first CD player when I was like 12, so it all happened at the right time.
So I
And
have my iTunes in front of me with 62,892 songs.
oh
I
wow,
think I have a Reliant K, or maybe I do not. I do. Be My Escape.
oh that was the bop back in the day.
So iTunes in the early days of iTunes would release a song of the week for free. So that was
Mm-hmm.
a song of the week for free. Let's see if I have any Switchfoot. Holy crap, I have two. Oh, never mind. I understand why I have them. One of them was on the Electra soundtrack, and one of
Forgot
them
about
was on
that.
a Pace magazine sampler. Sooner or
Huh.
later, and Oh Gravity.
Ooh, okay. Gravity was big because that album came out. Ironically, they didn't play any songs from that album when I saw them that time in
Huh.
like 2016. And I was kind of mad about it. But anyway, that record came out when I was a freshman in high school. And it was super turning point because I think that was the first record they did that wasn't on Columbia. It was on their own label, I think Lowercase People. That
Mhm.
video was trippy and cool. The song is fun. Like, that's my type of rock and roll. I like
So,
all types of rock
so
and roll,
it's
but I
kind
like
of
that.
funny. It's kind of funny because you have Switchfoot, and right above that is the Swell Season, which is the group that is in the film Once that we talked about
Oh,
earlier. And right
wow.
underneath that is a band that I love called The Sword, that my buddy and
Huh.
I refer to as the Swored. That they are like a trippy,
I'm
like
writing them down.
stoner metal, kind of
Oh,
70s
cool.
stoner metal music. So it's funny. The Swell Season, Switchfoot, stoner metal. Like that explains everything you need to know. Okay,
I'm sorry.
so you got it. No,
Um,
don't you got into all those. I'm the one digressing. I'm the one rambling. Did you end up going to college?
yes. So college, that was interesting because when I was in school, college, like from 2010 to 2013.
Okay.
And I had, so the whole time I was at college was iPod Classic, like halfway in between like sophomore year, because I did summer school one year and I left early.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm not trying to be here like all this time. So, um, like halfway in between, like my first iPod Classic died, and I almost had a heart attack. But I had the money to get another one, and everything was backed up like it's supposed to be, and we were all good, didn't miss a
Yeah.
beat. Um,
I'm gonna
so
blow your
I,
mind. Are you ready?
dude, so I've still got both of mine and my Nano in my closet. I
There's
love it.
two of them.
Yes.
There's my two iPods.
Oh yes, yes. But yeah, like
Okay,
I
so
think. Go. Oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say I interrupted to show you that because it's hilarious.
It's like right there, accessible too. They
Yeah.
got me.
Yeah, like
Um,
I'm gonna need it.
But no, like you never know. So, like so basically college for me, because I got an iPod Nano, I think eighth or ninth grade. And I didn't get a classic, I don't think until later. But anyway, um, so like college for me, 2010 to 2013 was all iPod, even though Spotify had come out and there had been LiveWire and Napster and all that, but I was not trying to go to jail. I was that scared kid who
Oh,
would legally buy
yeah.
iTunes stuff and then burn the iTunes songs on the CD so I could listen to them. But so when I was in college, I found a site called Noise Trade. Are you
Oh
familiar with
yeah.
them?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're now owned by like Paste and it's yeah. But so I found Noise Trade and I found so many artists. In like college, I didn't listen to just Christian music. I started listening to anything and everything. Of course, I still listen to good Christian music too. And at the time, blogs were still huge. So there was this blog called The Good Christian Music Blog. That's literally the name of it. And they had a
And
YouTube channel and everything. And like
I think Noise Trade was a Nashville based
it was
website
based in Nashville.
because
Yeah.
they had that's where I discovered a lot of those East Nashville artists that were kind of treading the line.
Yeah, there was like who's it? Derek Webb, I think, and
Derek Webb. Um,
Tad Cockrell and Leagues and who's it? Dang, there's a
God,
ton
right.
of them.
Matthew Perryman Jones. I
Yes,
remember.
yes. I had a lot of his stuff.
And what's weird is they then did a thing called 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So those, and I actually got to know some of the musicians that were in 10 out of 10 because they would come here and
That's
play
so
so
cool.
much to where one of them that I knew, now I can't, Katie Cole, she was from Australia, but she is now the bass player in Smashing Pumpkins.
I did not know that.
And she started like as a Nashville singer songwriter, and she opens for Smashing Pumpkins sometimes, which is wild.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Which I have not. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to get into it, but
Okay.
yeah, I ended up getting to know some of those musicians but they were people I found on Noise Trade, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I love Noise Trade. Like I would download like so much from there and it was awesome. And so that period I was still doing Noise Trade. Like I didn't get Spotify until like 2015.
Okay.
But I got it and it's great and I love it. But so I was all miss iPod. And then I did get a smartphone somewhere in there. So I did download this app called, dang it, I forgot what it's called. But basically it was a jazz app and you could
Okay.
maybe it was called jazzradio.com, but it's like any kind of jazz you could listen to was on there. And there were ads if you had the free version like I did, and there was no ads if you had the paid version. And I really got into like jazz, all different kinds of jazz, like
Okay.
guitar trio, piano trio. And that would be like my lunch music a lot of times if I wasn't listening to forensics or true crime podcast. Um but on my actual iPod.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember
but
those days where you would download podcasts and load them onto your iPod.
yes.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it was great. And also on Noise Trade, I found a lot of cool rap groups. Like there's one collective that I remember especially called Humble Beast Records.
Okay.
They're a Christian record group company collective based in Portland, Oregon. And some of my favorite artists from there is a guy named Propaganda and then a group called uh Beautiful Eulogy.
Okay.
And I'm not good at describing music, especially not describing rap, but it's like that kind of rap. You have to listen to it like 3 or 4 times to catch all the meaning and symbolism behind.
Yeah.
But it's really good. And you know probably who I'm about to talk about next. So somewhere after college, like in 2014, there was I guess a house show platform promotion website or something called Close Up FM.
Oh
And
yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the uninitiated, basically how it worked was a band's like, hey, we want to go on tour, but we want to play a lot of house shows, coffee shops, unconventional venues. And they would put their cities on the site and then like people would sign up to host. And if there were more than one host in a city, they would kind of battle it out to see who got the most RSVPs. Whoever got the most RSVPs, it turned into ticket sales, and then the band would come after a certain number of people had signed up. And so around that time, in Noise Trade time, my favorite band, Joseph, I found them on Noise Trade / found out they were playing a house show in Knoxville. And I went to that, and they're amazing. They're still my favorite band to this day. I've got a ticket to go see them June 29th in Nashville at the Brooklyn Bowl, which apparently is new. They built it right before COVID.
yeah.
Then COVID
Yeah.
happened, and now it's still kind of brand new.
So
But
spoiler alert for you and anyone at home. On down in my list of questions, one of the last
oh.
questions is there anyone you'd like to work with, ... other than Joseph? Because I already knew. I already knew. I'm not
Those
kidding.
are my girls. No, I believe you already know. Like the post, this is just one poster right here.
Yeah.
But like your girl has a whole like wall and a half with just their
Yeah.
stuff from that very first show, all the way to like stuff I bought like last year.
Amazing. And I
But
want to
they're
think,
just so good.
I'm trying to remember, they were one of the last shows I saw before the pandemic when they played the
At the
Bijou.
Bijou, February
Yeah.
20th.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember because I had a show that, and it made me mad. So another one of my favorite bands. So I realized a couple weeks ago that a lot of my favorite bands now are influenced by them because
Uh-huh.
that's when 2014 was when Instagram was starting to really catch on. And
Yeah.
like they were posting their tour on Instagram. I was like, I want to see this cross country tour. I'm going to get on Instagram and follow them. So naturally, when the algorithm was good, they recommended stuff I wanted to see. It's like, hey, you follow all the Joseph people.
Yeah.
Like maybe you like this and that. So there's another band I listen to called Deep Sea Diver.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they actually opened for them in that show. And I was so mad I missed it. But I missed it for a good reason because me and my band were playing the auto show.
So I think I remember because I probably asked you because I couldn't get anybody to go to that show with me. Like I always
was like, I already have my ticket.
Yeah, I always buy 2 tickets, and I was just like asking everyone I knew, and no one would go. And it was an it was
So
an
good.
unbelievable show. I love Deep Sea
So
Diver.
good. Yes.
That show was great. Everybody that was there, I think I bought all the Deep Sea Diver albums there because they blew my mind. I don't think I had heard of them before, and they were absolutely amazing.
So it's funny because I got on Instagram just to follow Joseph. So naturally, when the Instagram, what's it called, algorithm was good and not just showing stupid memes, it showed me all these Pacific Northwest artists and people who, and like visual artists as well, who had connections to them through Instagram or whatever. So Deep Sea Diver, I found through them essentially. Lamolo, I found through. I have like 3. Let me see if I can.
Yeah.
There we go. And there's like a teal one up there. Found through them. Basically, any artist from the Pacific Northwest. Josh Garrels, actually, I found him on Release Trade along with Liz Weiss. But it's funny because the Beautiful Eulogy group, I had known about them like years before I knew about Joseph. And there's one song, and it says featuring Joseph. And I just assumed that was the producer on the beat. And then like in 2017, I was like, wait, this is my Joseph. Those voices aren't samples. That's my Joseph on there. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And they're based in Portland too at the time. So, but yeah, so a lot of my musical stuff is unwittingly because of Joseph and Instagram. But it's great because I know that like it only makes sense that I like the same artists, similar artists that my favorite band likes, and it's connected to somehow.
I'm on the telling a friend of mine. Aaron Hall. There you go. If you're listening, Aaron Hall, I'm going to pick on you. So when I was doing the radio show, the online radio show, which you were a guest, she came on and she was like, you don't have enough women on your playlist. And I chose all women. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I have all kinds of different types of music. I have different I have everything. Like I just throw everything in there. It's like maybe I was like sometimes it's not dude heavy. It's just like there are bands I love like Lord Huron. I was like, well, there's like 15 Lord Hurons because of course there's 15 Lord Hurons.
Yeah.
But so later on, I was like, I'm sitting there like I don't know if this is true. So I go through and I'm like, oh yeah, she doesn't know Jack. There's like 8 Joseph songs on here. She thinks it's some dude named Joseph. I was like,
yeah,
that's a girl group, you dummy. Like,
yeah.
I was like, I picked on her back. I was like,
Did you even listen to it?
Yeah, my list is a lot of women on this list. I was like, oh, good Lord, you don't know. So
and there's like another woman, like Saint Vincent. I didn't know that was a woman until I listened to her.
Yeah.
And then like Prince George, I think. That's a woman group. It's kind of electronic pop, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of women groups and artists. And what was it? She changed her name to her actual name. It's like Jack something is her real name, like with an X. But it was like Flint Keyswood or something.
Oh,
like
well, and
anyway, I'm sorry.
And there's a lot like Head in the Heart and all these that have female member. I was like, you're nuts. I was like, hey, you just want
you
to
didn't
pick
even listen to it.
You just want to pick on me because God love Erin Hall. She likes to pick on me. So I've had her on the podcast twice and had her on the radio show. And like the first episode of the podcast, she picked on me a little bit. Second episode of the podcast, she started picking on me. I was like, why do you need to pick on me, man? And then when she came on the radio show, she did that too. I was like, Aaron, come on, man. I'm just trying to live, man. And you're picking on me. Like, I'll give her a hard time. Anyway, was there, what was the point where you decided that you wanted to pursue music more seriously? Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, I do. There's kind of 2 parts to this moment. So obviously, June 2nd, 2014 at that house show.
Oh, okay.
Because you know how house shows are. You get to hang out with everybody there and hang out with the bands. That was a really cool one because Tyler Anthony from Sirius Bright was there.
Yeah.
And at that time, that video that they did of Staying Alive was like super viral.
Yeah.
And they had actually recognized him, and he did that and like a few other songs, which was really cool. But I got to chat with the band, and they were super inspiring, and they were like, "Dude, if you want to do
Yeah.
music, do it." I was like, "Yeah."
So I saw a friend of mine who's a comedian down in Atlanta last week, and look what was on the wall. A
Dude,
Serious Bright sticker.
it's
So I'm
so
about to
funny
post that. Yeah.
because like everywhere I like, so we went on a tour, a small tour. Well, it was a tour, but it wasn't like everything was consecutive. We played like, when I say we, me and my band, whatever configuration, whether it was me and a drummer, or me and a drummer and a bassist, or just me by myself, played about 20 shows in the fall. And it seemed like every venue we went to, we saw a Sirius Bright sticker.
That's amazing.
No matter what city, I feel like I saw a Sirius Bright sticker, which was so cool. I was like, I'm following in their footsteps. But
So
so 20.
that I was going to say that was the moment that kind of like you're like, I want to do this.
Yeah, it was part one of the moment.
Okay.
Because looking back, like when I was in like sixth grade writing these little songs, like part of me was like, well, and I wasn't that good at guitar. Part of me was like, well, I've got to write guitar parts that I can sing and play at the same time because I don't want to hire a guitarist or
Okay.
hire a singer. And this is like little sixth grade me, and like this is like, and it's like super deep thought in the back of my mind, not knowing that I'd be doing this like for real today. So
Yeah.
like meeting Joseph and seeing their song or seeing them play that show and just being a huge fan of their music a little bit before and then on after, like was like, yeah, I want to do this. And part two, do you remember Ben Savage from News Sentinel?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Shouts out to Ben. We still get together and hang out when we can. Lives are busy and stuff, but we always make sure we hang out and catch up. Shouts out to Ben Savage, because like in summer 2016 was when I really started, like, because I had been doing open mic since about 2013, like off and
Okay.
on, so about 3 years now. And I've been recording since, like, for real since then too. But like I remember in 2016 he was like, hey, and he was the person who finally convinced me to get Spotify too. Because
Okay.
before that, because like by this point I was still doing like iPod, and it was like 2015 I was still doing iPod. And in 2016 it was a combination of iPod and my YouTube. I had free YouTube, so I would like treat YouTube like Spotify.
Okay. Okay.
And then he said, "Did you need it on Spotify?" And I got it. And then eventually I started paying for it. And then iPod went to the wayside. It was more of like a hard drive to back up my songs that I did want to purchase. But anyway, I remember him talking to me, and he was like, "We need to have coffee." When Ben says we need to have coffee, it's like, this is going to be a good coffee. So I don't remember if it was a lunch break that we met at. I don't know if it was Remedy or the other place that's by the old cemetery right now, but it's currently Remedy. But whatever it was a coffee shop before Remedy moved over there. You know what I'm talking about, in the old city? Not the old city, in kind of Happy Holler, Old North-ish.
Yeah. It's
Quite
always
crafty.
been Remedy because Sean built that out, but it was the Maker's Donuts. Too.
That's what it was.
Okay,
Yeah,
Maker's
the donut
Donuts.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if it was Makers or no, it had to be Remedy by that point because they didn't have any donuts. I would have got donuts. But anyway, I love donuts. But he said, "Yeah, let's have coffee." And I think it actually might have been a Saturday, and then later on we went and met for lunch there. And he just kind of basically, to sum it all up, like, "Shayla, I know how you are. You're very organized and you work." Uh-oh, did you freeze?
No.
Okay.
I'm just listening.
Because there's a glare in your glasses and I couldn't see you blinking.
Oh.
And I wasn't sure. Normally blinks give it away.
Okay.
But anyway, sorry. So he's like, "Shayla, I know who you are. You're super organized. You're really hardworking, good work ethic. I've never heard any of your music, but I trust that you would not put anything stupid out there. That being said, you need to go ahead and try this because you don't want to be like 80 thinking, man, what if I try
Yeah.
that music thing?" And I'm like, yeah, man, you're right. I need to like step out of these open mics and into doing music as like an actual career. And then so I put my little website together, got my Facebook page together. My Instagram just stayed my Instagram, which I'm glad about, because I wouldn't post it before on all my socials. It was just like literally Happy Valentine's Day, Merry Christmas. Oh, I saw Joseph 2 years ago today. Happy 4th of July. Merry Christmas. Oh, happy anniversary to the Joseph CD Native Dreamer. Like it was like holidays and Joseph anniversaries was basically my account. I was a lurker, but then it was easy to convert to being a music account or whatever. So then I started getting stuff together, and I was like, well, I don't know if I should put this music out because it's not like, I was like, I have a lot of songs, but they're not like recorded well. He's like, well, you got to start somewhere.
Hmm.
And so I put a song out, Coffee, July
Yeah.
24th, 2016. Only reason I know that date so hard because I had to enter it in somewhere else. Excuse me, recently. And then I put my song Leave the Light On out Friday, September 30th, 2016. I remember that date specifically because it was National Coffee Day, but International Coffee Day is on the 1st of October. And also I saw Sirius Bright that day at the Bijou.
Okay,
And
I was at that
also
show.
you
Because of
I
course I
figured.
was. Of course I
Yeah,
was.
that
Yeah.
was a good one. And then also Noise Trade happened to pick it up. This is when Noise Trade was still independent. That Pace hadn't bought them yet. They're like, "Hey, we really liked your song. Do you want to pay X amount of dollars and have it be featured on the front page?" I was like, "Oh, heck yes. Thank you."
Yeah.
And back then it was like super affordable to like be a featured artist and have your thing advertised and featured. And I got a lot of email signups, which was huge because I learned from Joseph that email is the thing.
Yeah.
And then later on, after reading like all these music business books and blogs and talking to a ton of people, email is where it's at. And now it's slowly becoming SMS too. So that way it's like, oh, Facebook goes away on
I'm trying to
MySpace. You
think.
still can talk to your fans.
It may have been the October one, or it may have actually been more November. Do you remember you and Daje played a show there was a coffee shop on Broadway across from Greeley's Bicycle? You remember K
Yes.
Brew's old location, and then two doors down
Yes.
there was that bigger location that was
Yeah.
something, and you all played there.
So
And
actually, I want to say she played it first, and then I came back later and was like, "Hey,
oh,
this is a cool spot," and played it.
well, she may have just been there to watch you perform. She was there because I remember both of you. I signed up for your email list on a physical piece of paper
Yeah.
there, but it was that place where Happy Knox Days was born. Because I
Yeah,
was
because I did
standing,
Christmas music.
yeah, I was standing in the back. I was like, man, we need a like Christmas show. That'd be awesome. And I didn't know about Mike McGill's show because it had always been at like Prez Pub or somewhere, and I just didn't
Yeah.
get advertised to it. And I didn't know McGill well enough because he started a few years before me. And so that was the night I was texting with Adeem, and Adeem and I met at
He's so cool.
Suttrie's and talked out Happy Knox Days. So it was based on you doing a Christmas song there at that show.
I'm so glad I was able
Yeah.
to give you that idea. I was
Yeah.
like, hey, it's the day after. And at this point, like my set was like barely 35 minutes. I was like, it's the day after Thanksgiving. I'll do 2 Christmas
That's
songs.
what, yeah. But I think it was that year because
Yeah, it was definitely that year.
We
Yeah.
pulled it together super quick. Like
That was, I love the
yeah.
Knoxville. I didn't get to go this year. I didn't get to see it. I don't know what was going on that night, but I didn't get to go. But I love that. Y'all do such a great job.
Well,
You're awesome.
it got passed over this year, and I think God, I hope nobody's listening to us.
Well,
And this
no. It got done because Luke
Yeah.
Brogdon from Southern Cities, he did one here, and then he did one in Johnson City too,
Oh, okay.
or
See,
Kingsport. I don't remember.
I did the poster, and I still didn't know anything about it. Still didn't see it in my feed or anything. I think next year, I mean, no offense to anybody, I was like, I think I'm gonna take it back over next year because it's like I want to do it, and I want to do it right, and I want to plan it earlier and make it a bigger show. But I
Yeah.
also feel like I need to sit down with Mike McGill and go, hey, man, I'm not stealing this idea from you. Here's exactly how I had this idea.
To me, it's two different like audiences because
Yeah.
like the Prez Pub and Scruffy crowd, of course, there's crossover. It's like I'm some of the crossover.
Yeah.
I don't do Prez because of the smoking. I did that once, and
Yeah.
I'm never again. But like I feel like it could be because like my parents would not go to Scruffy or Prez Pub unless they're coming to see me and leaving right after. You
Right.
know.
Right.
But if we do like the Central Collective or like a coffee shop, my parents will stay the whole time. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it caters to different people. You know.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay,
Oh.
so you released those 2 songs. You got picked up by Noise Trade.
Yeah, and I got like I got over 1,000 emails because I had gotten like a few for both of those songs before Noise Trade emailed me.
Yeah.
Like when I say a few, like maybe like 20-ish or something,
Okay.
which was really good because it's like that's 20 whole strangers from all
Yeah.
around the world, all around the country that I've never met, you know.
Yeah.
And then they did that, and I got like over 1,000, and I was like, "This is amazing!" And it was really good. Like I said, this is before Pace bought them because now Pace has them, and it's so hard to even just get to Noise Trade to just listen to music now, the way it's
Yeah.
set up. It's so junky. It's like all nothing against Pace. They're just trying to get the clicks and make we were both in advertising. They're just trying to get the
Yeah.
clicks and make the money. And it's all big artists like Phoebe Bridgers and like
Yeah. And I'm trying to
Mac
remember.
DeMarco and people like that. It's not like real indie people anymore.
I'm trying to remember who that other. There was another website that did live Day Trotter. So I
Yes, they
signed
got
up,
bought by Pace as well.
and I still get charged for Day Trotter once a year, like $20. And I'm like, it
Ooh.
just happened. And I was like, and I think I logged in and tried to turn it off, and I couldn't turn it off. And I'm like, I've been going to Atlanta quite a bit. I'm gonna find Pace off. It's like, I need you to take me off this. I'm paying y'all $20 a year for nothing because I don't think they do it anymore. It's just
They like see like the thing is they still still technically have those day trotter sessions, but like I said, it's all signed people, and we all know that like I'm gonna be a little cynical here
Yeah.
that there's only a few. Really, there's actually a lot of truly indie record labels, but every record label you can trace back to the big three. You
yeah,
know, like nothing. I had nothing against record labels. I'm just disappointed that Pace has to make money. It's just part of the
yeah,
business. I'm just disappointed there's no more small indie artists that I can stumble upon anymore.
right.
Like I still find new music, but it's hard to even just get to the Noise Trade site. Like just period, hard to
Yeah.
get there. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, but they still do the sessions. But like I said, it's with indie artists like Phoebe Bridgers and Mac DeMarco. It's like the big indie artists. And Joseph, they did a Pace session. You know, I was excited about that.
But yeah, but I feel like the Tiny Desk has taken over because Tiny Desk feels like they
Yeah.
do like 3 independent weird artists you would never hear of, and then somebody
Yeah.
huge, and then
Yeah.
3 independent, and then huge. To
Yeah.
where there's some people, because I am older than you, there's some people they've
Yeah.
had on when they had Big Daddy Kane and Rakim on. I was just like, what is happening? And I love this, and I cannot watch this quick enough. Can I? I don't want to watch this on fast forward, but I kind of want to watch this on fast forward to get it in me quick. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So
Like,
yeah,
it's
every
so
once in a
good.
while I like hearing people, but it's also like there was a country band big in the 90s. Not big. They were still not huge. They had like 1 or 2 big hits called the Mavericks. And
Mhm.
they were just on Tiny Desk. I was like, they should have been on Tiny Desk 10 years ago,
Ages.
15
Yeah.
years ago. There's sometimes those happen. I was like, wait, they've never been on. But God, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a lot of those, I feel like. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, you mean to tell me so-and-so's just now signing? But at the same
Yeah.
time, we got to remember it's just a handful of ears. I don't know if it's just Bob Boylan who reviews it or if it's
Yeah.
a bunch of people, but it's just a small team trying to listen to
With-
everything.
with how Adeem has been doing with the news and
He's-
stuff,
oh,
I'm surprised
He's
Adeem.
amazing, or they're amazing. Yeah.
I'm surprised Adeem hasn't done a Tiny Desk. Like, they're right on the edge. Like, it would not surprise me.
Didn't they get a write-up in like American Songwriter and Billboard for like top country album?
And NPR and New York
Yeah,
Times.
like I feel like with Adeem, it's just a matter of okay, we have 300 shows booked out. Adeem, you'll be here.
Yeah.
We're putting
yeah.
you here. I
Yeah.
feel like with them, it's just a matter of time because, like, it's
Yeah.
big things. Like, man, I remember when they first got signed, I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing articles. I was like, wait, are these meme article covers and articles? Are these real? Because you know the jokes, like you know their
Yeah.
personality. And it's like,
Yeah.
is this a joke? And it's like, wait a minute, this is real. Great job. Keep representing Knoxville, you know?
Oh my God. Yeah. They're about to go on. I'm trying to remember if they've already done the tour with Mountain Goats. And there's some other bigger tour.
American Aquarium, like at
They
least
they
once
did
or twice.
Aquarium, but there's somebody else where there's this guy Willie Carlisle that I like a lot.
Mhm.
He's like a
I've heard of him.
but it's weird because like you hear him and he sounds country, and then you listen to his album and he sounds like he's from New Orleans. Like it sounds like almost Zydeco music. Like
Yeah.
he's going to be playing Barley's soon.
Oh, cool.
He's going to be playing Barley's. Adeem is not opening for him at Barley's, but he's opening for
Maybe
him.
Adeem's on the road. Or
But
something.
Adeem is
That's what I
opening
heard.
for him out on the road. I was like, you couldn't even do it. Come on.
That
Come
would
on.
have made more sense. Like I
Yeah.
feel like Adeem would have drawn like so many people. I mean, still Willie's gonna draw a lot of people, but I feel
Well,
like even more people because
The Wayne Stock appearance, it was packed at Relics. Like I saw photos and you could not move.
I
in
missed
there.
the Wayne Stock. I totally just forgot about that weekend. I felt so dumb. I was like, wait, last weekend was Wayne Stock.
Well, I was telling, so Steve Wildsmith, the writer for used to be
Daily
Maryville Daily Times. Yeah, he and I were talking. I was like, I feel bad, but I bought tickets to shows for Friday and Saturday night like 8 months ago, man. I was like, I'm going to miss part of Friday and Saturday night because I went and saw the Waylon Jennings in Maryville Friday night, and I still came after that. No, I didn't make it for that, but Saturday night I took my little sister to see Fortune Feimster, the comedian, at the auditorium, and then I came to the show after it. But I was like, I feel bad, but I bought these tickets like 8 months ago, man. I can't.
And they probably weren't cheap either.
No, God, no, they were not. And the Waylon Jennings one, they had the Clayton Center is weird in that like it announces a show a year before it happens, but then you can't buy a ticket until 6 months before it happens. So it was like they were supposed to play during the pandemic like two times. Yeah. And it kept getting canceled. And then finally they played the third time it stuck. But I bought these tickets in like October of last year for a show in February. And I was just
it's weird.
Yeah.
It might be some kind of nonprofit thing that they have to do or follow some kind of weird guidelines. Because aren't they like part of Maryville College or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe it's something. Speaking of which, so I'm the type of person who likes to follow up and try my best to get into festivals. I was trying to play Lollapalooza this year.
Oh.
And so I had been emailing on my third email. They were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we've already got the lineup for this year." And before, when I had found their emails, because with UT and other colleges, it's easy to get in touch with people because their emails are just public.
Yeah.
And like I was like, I might have to call for this third follow up or whatever because I've been following up for months. And then I went back to the Lollapalooza website. We're not having Lollapalooza this year. This year, Lizzo is playing.
Oh.
That's replacing Lollapalooza. I'm like, oh, that's why I can't play.
Oh. You can open for Lizzo. What are you talking about? Come on. You got to set your sights higher.
Like, I mean, logistically, I totally get it. Like, that's the thing. Like, I'm not offended at all. I'm like, oh, Lizzo, and I forgot who's opening with her or whatever, touring with her. But I was like, it didn't click to me that, oh, wait, that's that, third weekend in April. Yeah. It never clicked, and it's happening at Thompson Bowling. I didn't put two and two together until after I got the denial email. I was like, let me see who their lineup is. And I was like, oh, it's Lizzo.
So I was this close last November because a friend of mine moved to Atlanta to become an actress. And so
what's Joanna's last name?
Wooten.
Okay, I'm thinking of different Joanna. Never mind. Okay.
So she moved down there to become an actress, and she was like, anytime you want to come and visit. And she was like, you know what? I don't have a couch. Let me go get a couch that's big enough. She literally went and got a couch big enough for me.
That's so
I could
sweet.
Stay down there. So I went down there twice, but I was this close in November because I could get tickets to see Lizzo and be in the GA around the stage. Ooh. It was like $175. But I was like, what was it? I was looking at one of the postseason Braves games, and to sit out in the outfield before fees, it was $190. I was like, so what you're telling me is I can sit on the top tier level of a postseason game for a team that I don't care about for $190 plus fees, or I can go see Lizzo and be standing like 3 people away from her to where I know Lizzo well enough to know she would probably be singing and then look over and be like, who's this giant bald white man
in the front?
In the front. Who are you? What is happening right now? And I would just be like, hi, you're awesome. Like, I would just be an idiot. Like, I was like, yeah, because I am not her demo. I'm not a kid. I'm not a youth.
But you're a music lover, though. So
it would just be funny because I'm so tall. It would just be like, boop, there he is. It's like, who is that guy? What is going on? And I would be like, hey, I'm not coming up here. I can't dance. I was like, I'm gonna just stand, or I can just stand here and like bop my head or something. If you want me to mosh, I can mosh. But I was like, that could actually lead to something. That would be awesome to go.
Yeah.
But I can't bring my, like, I think here, I don't know. I would love to see her, but I also am just like,
it's too expensive.
It's too expensive. I feel like I would be very tired.
Yeah.
After the show, like,
And
It would
see,
be,
like
yeah.
the tickets for this, I remember when they first got announced. I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and get on her email list so I can get that fan club early code or
Yeah.
whatever. But I got on there. I feel like when I got on there, decent seats. When I say decent seats, like not the very top of Thompson, but like the middle,
Yeah.
like
In the bowl.
area.
I call it in the
Yeah, in the
bowl.
bowl. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, the bowl. They started like 250. I was like, ooh.
So,
And the cheapest seats at the time I saw were $80 back against the wall. Like I've sat back against the wall at a Florida game before and never again.
yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I like Lizzo, but not like 250. Like honestly, right now the only people I paid $250 to see would be Joseph and like a VIP with like John Legend or Beyonce or a VIP with Lizzo. But like
Yeah.
just for regular seats, no extra perks, I can't swing.
So
it.
that's why the Shania Twain show. I'm not even the biggest Shania Twain fan, but I was like, man, I bet that's going to be a heck of a show. So I started looking at tickets in the lower level of the bowl. It was like $700 to $800. In the upper part of the bowl, it was like $250. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I went and saw Chris Stapleton at Thompson Bowling, and I was on the backside in that first like overhang. And the stage was right in front of me, but it was a length, and I was like, never again am I ever doing that, because I paid like $90 for those tickets. I was like, I'm paying $90 to look at a guy who looks like he's about a quarter of an inch tall.
Yeah,
like,
and
this
like
is
the jumbotrons don't do justice either.
no.
That's I don't.
No, because I had also seen Chris Stapleton at Press Pub, Dis Exchange, like all these other places. I'm like, no, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
You had the best experiences then.
Oh,
yeah.
I could tell you stories about
man.
all the people that I saw. I saw Jason Isbell and Amanda Shires in the well
Dang.
in Bearden with like 11 other people.
Wow.
Tyler Childers.
Oh my gosh.
So I saw Tyler Childers. I filmed him performing because he was opening for somebody else. That video on YouTube has over 100,000 views because he's never released the song, and he still follows me on Twitter. He only follows like 200 people on Twitter, and he follows me, which I think is hilarious.
That is so cool. You've seen these people before they were like selling tickets for Arm and a
Well,
leg.
same thing with like St. Paul and the Broken Bones and Lake Street Dive. Both of them I saw in tiny venues, or St. Paul was at Barley's. And they actually were like a early act.
Rhythm and Blooms, right?
Rhythm and Blooms on a Sunday. Yeah. When it was still at the Greens area, when it was still out there. But anyway. Okay.
It's so cool.
Let's see.
Oh, wait. One more thing about the ticket thing.
Yeah.
I'm mad at Ticketmaster. This needs to be taken control of, because I was talking to a friend who lives in Nashville. She wanted a Willie Nelson ticket, or a pair of them. But for the pair, it was $4,000.
Yeah, who was it? Oh, Kalen. There's a guy that blew up on TikTok, Kalen Reacts, where he would watch people doing stuff. And he's like, oh no, what are you doing? Stop that. And then Ellen found him and brought him on, and he bought a ticket to see Beyonce. And the ticket was like, God, what was it? It was like $20,000. And the service charge was like $3,000 or something, so crazy, or $5,000. And somebody else reposted that and said, okay, this is great that you got this ticket, but what is the $5,000 service charge? There's no way that's
so bad.
Yeah. Anyway.
And I was worried. Okay, one more thing about tickets. I was worried about this Joseph show in June, because I was like, oh no, is Brooklyn Bowl a Ticketmaster venue because they're the right size, or are they going to be something else?
AXS probably.
Actually, they're Ticket Web, which is still Ticketmaster, because Ticketmaster bought Ticket Web. Okay. But the good thing is, and I was like waiting right there for 11 Central. I got my ticket. I thought I was going to die. Like, I literally could not breathe. Like, for real. I had to tell myself to breathe. I was going through a lot at that point. But anyway, these people, Ticketmaster, need to get control of stuff. And like, I've seen whole documentaries about the whole bot thing and the what is that, scalpers thing. Like, this is out of control. Anyway, I'm done complaining about
Well, what I was going to say is the waiting room thing is driving me nuts.
Oh, that's
because we're both AXS and Ticketmaster, because I was trying to get tickets at the Ryman to see Tori Amos. I love Tori Amos. And I'm sitting there on that AXS, and I end up still sitting in the waiting room for 5 minutes, even though I sat there for a full hour waiting. It
That's
was
so
like 30
bad.
minutes waiting, and then the waiting room was open at 30 minutes, which it automatically refreshed. And I still had to sit in the waiting room for 5 minutes, and the tickets were almost
Mm-mm.
sold out. And then when I start clicking on seats, they were like, "Oh, those tickets are gone." And I was like, "Then they shouldn't be on here." And
Exactly.
I hit refresh just to get that. It sent me back to the waiting room. I
No.
sat for 2 minutes and I came back and it was sold out. And I was just like, I was cursing. And then like 3 hours later, I was like, I want to look at it one more time. And there just happened to be some tickets available. So I
How
got
much were they though?
my friend Marie and I were going, and we got two
Okay,
tickets. And I'm
good,
like,
good.
but it was the same thing. It was like the tickets were $78, but then with service fees and everything else, they were like 120 something dollars. I was like, for each ticket. And I was like,
Yeah.
it's as much for the Anyway, yeah. Okay.
It's too much. I'm sorry. I
No,
got us off on
no.
this complaining train. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So you mentioned like your preferred instruments, but would you like to learn how to play more instruments as you go along?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like those
Okay.
are just my preferred because those are the ones like if I had to be in somebody's band, I could do bass like in my sleep.
Okay.
I'm not like amazing. I'm not like Victor Wooten or anything. But like bass and guitar are my main two. And then like I know my way around a drum set and keyboard good enough to where I could fill in. I'm not gonna do anything amazing, but I'll be a good fill in.
Okay.
That makes any sense.
Okay. And do you handle your own production? Like,
Yeah.
and
So
was that a
I
big learning curve for you?
yes and no.
Okay.
So basically, when I started, I would do everything, including the mixing and mastering, i.e., trying to EQ stuff and put effects on stuff so it sounds like it should be on the radio quality. But like, as far as people trying to get into recording themselves, whether it's a podcast or an audiobook or music, it's basically two rules. One, like whatever you're using, make sure your meter stays in the green. Once it gets to yellow, you're going to need to back off either on the gain knob or like literally
Mhm.
back away from the microphone. And if you're looking at the sound waves too, like they shouldn't be touching the top. But that comes from is your thing turning orange and red?
Right.
That's literally like bare minimum. If you can keep it in the green, you're good to go.
Right.
But like other than that, like I did buy a course. Sometimes I make fun of myself and for buying a course. And I have a friend who's like, no more courses. But at the same time, the courses I buy, I always end up getting something that helped me
Yeah.
substantially. But I bought a course for like $99 back in the day by a guy named Graham Cochran. He has a
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Recording Revolution. Because like I
Yeah.
was just like binging his content like in 2014, 2015, 2016. But I think in the beginning of 2016, I bought that course. And then so my first three releases, the Coffee in 2016, We the Light on 2016, and then Silence in 2017, and then the album or the EP 26 Letters that Silence was on. I don't know why I didn't put all those songs on there. It's just an oversight. But all those I did by myself. And it was funny because like my stuff I thought sounded decent enough. But it was like it's still like it was decent enough to be played on local radio in like the locals hour. So it wasn't horrible. They just sounded like demos basically. So
Okay.
they weren't terrible. They're still out on Spotify and YouTube and everywhere else.
Okay.
So they weren't terrible, but they definitely were not something I was like, yes, this is amazing sound quality and stuff. They were decent demos quality. And then it's funny because I would always get so frustrated when I was mixing and mastering and engineering my songs. I'm putting in quotes because I'm not really a mixing and mastering engineer. But like it was so funny because I'd always go and complain to my mom, like, Mom, this is not working. I can't. And she's like, well, Shayla, you need to hire somebody. I was like, I don't want to hire somebody. And I didn't want to hire anybody because I wanted to be sure that like I wanted music to be like for real. This is gonna be my career,
Right.
before I sink some real money into it. So then after like 2017 and shoot 2018 as well, I was like, yeah, I need to look for a mixing and mastering engineer. So Arms actually was the last single I put out that was done fully by me. And that was in like November 2018. But in December 2018, I was like, I need to find somebody to mix and master this stuff. So now my process is basically the same. I do all the writing, do all the recording, but instead of mixing it and mastering it myself, I edit the tracks, like get rid of weird noises at the end, in the middle, and the beginning. One time I had like 100 tracks, including drums and all the backups. Like, so like with instruments with effects,
Mhm.
for my guitars and basses, I just plug directly into my interface and use the amp simulators in GarageBand at the time, but now Logic, because they sound so good.
Okay.
And I'm like, I can change it. I can so easily, if I didn't like the sound. So it wasn't printed onto there. So I'd have the clean, just pure guitar or bass, and then like the affected version for however many. So it was like 50, 100 something tracks. I was like, what is that growling noise? I was like, okay, I know it's not the software instruments. So that means it's one of the vocals or one of the guitars or basses that's making a weird growling noise. I narrowed it down. So one of the background vocals, I had burped before the take. I was like, you buster.
Oh,
so I had to I found the burp after like 20 minutes of searching, just muting solo.
Oh my God.
So yeah, editing and making sure like I'm playing on beat, because I'll drag some stuff to make sure it's on beat. Like I don't do robotic stuff, but like I want it to sound decent, when I'm playing bass or whatever. And then drums, I used to record those live, but like they're a mess to record and I'm not the best drummer. So I'll make up a beat on real drums, but then I'll go in MIDI program a beat like a rapper would or something, but I use real sounding drums. Like the kit I use is how I ideally want my drums to be tuned and sound in person.
Okay.
But it's just so much easier to mix and master and deal with too. So I do everything and then I just get the tracks ready to be mixed and mastered. And then I send them to my engineer, Maya, at SoundLayer. He's absolutely amazing. He mixes anything from like singer-songwriter, acoustic folk to gospel to death metal to stuff I do, pop. But like I recently found out he actually engineered Whitechapel. So I don't know if he still does or how long he did it, but he did for a while apparently. I was like, that's really cool. Yeah. But yeah, he's amazing. So I do all my stuff, then export the tracks individually and just email them to him, pay, and then I get these amazing songs back.
That's awesome.
And the perfect thing was, what I love about Maya is like he's super organized, great communicator. And I've never had to ask him to change anything like at all. Except one time I had a guitar at the end of one song that lasted too long. I was like, hey, can you cut that guitar off? I made that last too long. Other than that, everything has been perfect. And like, cause like when I first like started working with him, like I remember going to his studio the first time, well, the only time, cause after that we just do everything online. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a real studio. And I was just like mind blown. This is like a studio you see on like TV and movies and stuff. And it was so cool. And I don't know, it just blows my mind. I remember asking him, I wanted to give you a reference track to be like, oh, I like my drums to sound like this track over here, and I like my vocals to sound like so-and-so's vocals. But I was like, I don't know, I just don't have enough music vocabulary to give you examples. I was like, just use your best creative judgment. You've been doing this for decades. I trust you. Just show me what you got. And what he had was perfect. I literally cried the first time I got my masters back. And first he sent the instrumental masters. And then once I said okay on those, he sent me the full masters. And I heard my voice and I was like crying. I was like, this is how I'm supposed to sound. Because it's so hard to like capture like a live performance in the studio. Right. Like on stage how it sounds, and then in the studio by myself, just me singing to me playing guitar perfectly and make it sound like how it would sound on a good stage. And he just did it. So it's like, this is how I sound. Like, this is perfect.
That's awesome.
And he does a great job. So shouts out to Maya at SoundLayer. So if anybody needs any kind of sound work, because I think he might even edit audiobooks and podcasts and things like that. He's your man, or even film sound. I don't know. But yeah, man, I don't even remember what the question was.
Unofficial sponsor of this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was about the production aspect. But here, that'll lead us to a good transition of you managing and everything. So what made you decide to start the Patreon other than me pestering you to start a Patreon? So I've got one checked off. The next one is I can get Zoe Nutt to do a Patreon, because I think she should be doing a Patreon.
She would rock a Patreon.
Yeah. So there you go. Now we can both bug her about doing a Patreon.
I just saw her a couple weeks ago. So her, Red, and Zach, they
played at Remedy, and I couldn't make it, and I was kind of bummed. Yeah.
Yeah, that show was amazing. That was my first show I had been to since the Joseph show in 2020 that I went to without me being a player in it. So this is the first, because I've been to festivals that I've played in and shows that I've played in, but I've never bought a ticket and sat down at a show since that Joseph show. But it was so good. They packed it out. Like, everybody was amazing. But yeah, so I started the Patreon. The Patreon has always been in the back of my head since, like, who was it? Amanda Shires did the whole $1 million thing, or was it somebody else?
No, it wasn't Amanda Shires. It was Amanda Palmer.
That's who it is. I'm getting my Amandas confused. Amanda Palmer. Fine. Since she did that, was like, oh, that's really cool. Even before I was a musician, I was like, I'm kind of artsy. Surely I can do something. But then music became a thing, and like it's always been in the back of my mind. I hadn't done it, and I remember Red. We were talking in 2020 or 2021. She's like, Shayla, like you need to do Patreon, and like I had a handful of other friends like, Shayla, you need to do Patreon, and I was like, I don't know, man, because like I'm not funny. I don't I'm not the kind of person on TikTok who does skits. Like I tried a few of them. The only ones that kind of land are like the musician insider joke kind of things. But anyway, I'm digressing.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know what I would post besides my songs, and then somebody bought a course um about
It took me a second. That's like, wait, somebody bought a course from you? No, you
sorry.
bought a course.
I
You
bought a
bought
course
Yeah,
on
of
how
course
to
you did.
launch a Patreon, and
Yeah.
shouts out to Katie Zaccardi, one of my TikTok OGs. I say that because though, if you're not on TikTok, you need to be on TikTok. Its algorithm is so good. It's amazing. I was
So
like,
I am a lurker. I've only posted
okay,
one video on
no, that's
TikTok,
totally fine.
and it
Lurking
was
is great.
so this will not surprise you at all. The one video of mine on TikTok is Oreos. Big shocker.
I love Oreos. Yes.
It's got
Oh my gosh.
I found this mechanism to where you got a cup that had holders for your Oreos, and then it had this Oreo dunker where it had
Oh,
magnets, and you could dunk and then bring it back up, and then it had little pliers,
what?
tongs, and you ate your Oreo.
That is so
That's my
cool.
one video on TikTok.
But like, no, I lurked for the longest time. I was like, maybe in 2019, 2020, I was like, yeah, I need to get on. Okay, put it this way. When Lil Nas X happened in Old Town Road, I was like, I need to be on TikTok. But I
Yeah.
was like, at that time, though, TikTok was literally Old Town Road and dancing.
Yeah.
I cannot dance. And Old Town Road is great, but I was like, I don't know how to do that, promote it like that.
Yeah.
But like, so 2021, I ended up on TikTok, and like I had been signed up maybe 10 minutes, and TikTok knew exactly what they knew to show me stuff, music stuff, whether it's like people singing and doing just performing, whether it's music business stuff, whether it's like Southern comedy, which there's this man. The account is called something like Nanny Meemaw or something.
Oh, I know who
You
you're
know,
talking about.
with the
Oh, yeah.
glasses.
Yes. I've seen that guy. Oh my
Stuff like
God.
that, like
Yeah.
niche comedy, like, and you only get it if you're in the South, I feel like.
Yeah.
And of course, Black church comedy, Black people comedy, and musicians like talking shop comedy, and of course, like encouraging side of TikTok, like breathe for a second, or
Yeah.
this makes your day better. So like TikTok knew exactly who I was within 10 minutes. I was like, this is so good. So I got on TikTok, and of course, with the music marketing stuff, that's how I found Katie Zaccardi, and I followed her long enough, and I was like, surely this woman has some courses. And then of course I start getting pitched courses, like in, I don't know if it was ads or what, but I was like, she's good. She says stuff that makes sense with what I've experienced and what I've learned that to be true from other marketing people, specifically music marketing people. So I broke down and bought another course, but it ended up being worth it because like I truly didn't think I would get anybody to sign up like at all for my
Yeah.
Patreon, but now I have like 6 or 7 people, I think, which is amazing. And just being able to manage it and handle it and launch it correctly, but also keep it going.
Yeah.
Like her course is phenomenal. She also has another course. I really don't have a need for it right now. It's just called Out to Launch, just period, not Out to Launch Patreon. For anybody trying to launch some kind of web-based business, more catered toward like coaching type stuff or courses.
Okay.
But like she has a Patreon one, and then she has that one. I got the Patreon one, and she's a musician herself, and she's also a music marketer, so she knows the things. She moved from New York, and now she's in Nashville, which is really cool. Everybody's moving to Nashville, which makes sense. But I like it because it's close, and my brother lives there now.
Oh,
I've
okay.
got several friends who live there, so Nashville is extra good for me now. It's not like, oh, I'm going to Nashville to see Joseph. It's like I'm going to Nashville to see Joseph and my brother and my friends.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what made me start a Patreon. People have been
Okay.
asking me, and then finally I got up the guts to do it, and then a course happened to happen, and now I've got Patreon.
Now you got a page. So I've got one that I have filled out some of the information, but I have not launched it yet because I am weird
Let
about.
me know when you launch.
Thank you. I'm weird about overly preparing, overly banking stuff to where I don't put myself in super pressure situations. but also once I say go, I go. So like with
Mhm.
Ramblin' Man, I think I just hit 5 years of doing Ramblin' Man. I have not missed a week. I have not. Now there are times
That's
where I've not
amazing.
posted on a Monday, but that's been for a little behind the scenes. Libsyn allows you X amount of megabytes to upload a month. And there have been
Oh.
times where I've had like 2 or 3 super long episodes in a row, and the reset was on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It's like the episode
Mm.
is coming out on Wednesday this week because I
That's understandable.
I was like but it was ready on Monday. It was ready to
Yeah.
go. So I'm gonna knock on wood when I say that. I was like, because if I'm doing it, and so yeah, here you go. The podcast I'm doing is on movies, and it's called Big Man Big Fan. So I will have you
Oh,
on
I
it.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
So yeah, I will have you on, and I'll show you. Since nobody can see this, I will show you the artwork for it because I have it saved to my phone. And I also need to start wrapping up because I have
Oh,
another one at
sorry.
5 o'clock. No, it's not you, it's both of us because we're just talking. So that,
Oh, I love it. It's like the Looney Tunes.
yep.
Oh, that is so clever. I
Man,
love
why
it.
it
I'm
can't
sorry.
focus? Why can I not focus? Anyway,
Like every now and then it did though.
yeah.
But
So
that's so
yeah,
cool. That'd be a sick shirt too.
yeah. So, but I've got it sitting there, and I'm like, one of these days, it's just going to launch.
So
And
like
when,
the thing is, like what I had to do is set a date. That's the one thing she had us do was
yeah,
like set a date.
yeah,
And so once I set, and I do this with my music too. I set a date and then I work. Well, after I get the masters back, I set a date and
yeah.
then kind of, but for me, once I set the date, it's like that date is not changing. So maybe
That's what I
once you
need to
have a
do.
handful of episodes and then set the date, you'll be good.
So the big thing on it, and good Lord, rabbit hole, Looney Tunes, but
Literally.
yeah. Um, I want there to be a free episode every week and a paid episode every week. And so my
That's
initial
smart.
idea was to do the free episode, and then the paid episode would me doing movie commentary with another person. And the original idea was going to be free episode one week, paid episode next week, free episode that. And I was like, podcasts do better if you do them weekly. I was like, so I have 24 episodes of the free episodes recorded from before the pandemic.
Wow.
So, but
Whoa.
it's those paid episodes that I've been working through of like, what can I do? And I think I'm going to do just me talking
Mhm.
and do like, because I couldn't get people to sit down to watch a film with. But what I think I'm going to do is like movie news. Here's some things coming up on the horizon.
Mhm.
Here is a throwback film you should watch. Here's just do that.
That's good.
Make it like 15, 20 minutes. So I'm going to spoil a little bit. I have a crazy idea because of course I have a crazy idea. And now I'm looking, I can't remember where I put them. So I'm going to do like $5 a month. $5 a month, you get the bonus episode, and maybe I'll do something like once a month. I'll mail you a postcard with a movie recommendation, something like that.
That's so clever.
But my second tier is going to be $20 a month. So for $20 a month, what you get is once a year, I will send you a box. And in that box will be 12 items that will be tailored towards you.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it may be like a pop figure. It's going to be different for every person.
Yeah.
But one of
that
the
is so
ideas I
cool.
had was I started collecting on VHS tapes. And because I'm an artist, I'm going to flip them over and paint a scene on the
That
back of
is
it.
so cool.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Now on me, it's like $20 a month is a lot of money. But it's also I ended up asking like 5 or 6 friends. I was like, is this a crazy idea? And they're like,
For the box, that's perfect.
they were like, no, if I randomly got a weird box of stuff once a year of 12, no, that is worth it to me to pay the $240 or whatever that is. And I was like, yeah, but the thing for me, it's like I want it to be worth it to people, but I also don't want to spend $150 on items for the boxes because then that just negates the box. But anyway, so that's my idea. And the idea is once I hit 10 people doing that, I will do a print. I will do art, create a print once a year just for those 10 people that I will not sell anywhere. Wait, I'll make 11 copies because I want a copy.
You need one. Yeah, you need one.
But it's just in my illustration style, I'll do a print of 10 just for those people.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, I think that's worth way more than $20. That's awesome. But don't charge any more than 20 because you might have some people fall off. But
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Especially the VHS thing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, so that's mine. But so okay, so Patreon, and if you've gotten this far, you've already heard me talk about the Patreon and the pre-ramble. So now we'll start to wrap up here with, is there something you would like to see more of in music?
Uh that's a hard one.
Sorry.
Of course, no, it's okay. Of course, I'll give like the always top of mind answers. I would like to see more women producers being like not championed, but I don't know, put out there more because I feel like women producers, especially in hip hop and like
Okay.
EDM type genres, like they're not as uplifted, like not uplift. I don't know the words, just like
Right.
yeah, because there's a lot of amazing, like YouTube is crazy. I found so many like female EDM and rap producers. It's just like, wow, like I should have known you did, and even pop. And then,
Yeah, I was going to say, because Toby Inigwe, his producer is a woman, Linnell Grant.
I didn't know that. See,
Yeah. Because
So,
because I like her music so much, I ended up following him on Facebook. I was like,
hmm,
I like what he does, but good Lord, like his wife is a great rapper and his producer is a woman, Linnell. Yeah.
that is so cool.
Yeah.
But see, like that, and then of course, figuring out a way to make arts profitable for everyone involved.
Yeah.
From the labels to the booking agencies and management companies to the stagehands and tech people to obviously the artists to the songwriters to the top liners, everybody. Like, I mean, this is like the musical equivalent of asking for world peace. But I just want everybody to get truly what they deserve, I
Okay.
guess. And also at the same time, not charging fans out the wazoo for stuff.
Yeah. Ticket prices. I tried to, when I've never seen Bruce Springsteen and I would love to see him. And I got Ticketmaster verified and all that crap. And then I open up finally after sitting in the wait room for 15 minutes, it resets and it's like $1,200 to see Bruce. I was like, no. I was like, if you could take me back in time to see him in 1985, if I could pick the set list, I tell you what.
Even 20 years ago, before they were charging $1,200 for tickets.
I tell you what, Bruce Springsteen, if you let me pick the set list and how you do it, I'll pay $1,200. I will gladly pay $1,200 because the stuff I like is not the stuff he plays. I like the sad, slow stuff.
Gotcha.
I like Nebraska, and he never plays anything off of it because it's a depressing album. But that's what I would want to see. I don't want to see 10th Avenue Heartbreak. 10th Avenue Freeze, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not my thing. That's not my thing. But if I could pick, I would do whatever I had to do to raise the $1,200.
You know what?
Yeah.
If his people were smart, this is what Joseph did a couple years ago, or it might have been 2020. Well, 2021 was a couple years ago. They had this tour called the Request Only Tour, and what it was, they went on tour, but when you went in the door, they had a box or something. You could write down like what 3 songs or what top 5 songs you want to see them play, and whatever got the most votes from like all the songs they've ever played, including the covers, that's what their set list would be that night. But if Bruce's people were smart, he could literally do a request only tour like that, or he could have a special event at some place like Blackberry Farm and charge like $400 to get in, but you can request what you want, you know, like, and even people who didn't care what he played would still pay that $400 to see Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, probably pay some deep cuts. Like,
right,
so,
yeah.
So there are 2 people, and I was just talking about this because I saw Death Cab for Cutie the other night, and I never look at.
How was it?
It was great. I never look at set lists, but I looked at the set list, and it was predominantly new album stuff, which was kind of a bummer. But they still missed so many songs. I was like, why didn't you play this? Why didn't you play? Oh God! But they did play I Will Possess Your Heart. They played like the full 9-minute version, which I can't believe they did that. So anyway,
that's awesome.
But I was talking to a friend that was there. I was telling them that, and they were kind of like, oh crap, I'm not here for the new stuff. I'm here for the stuff for when I was in college and sad. And I said, somebody who did this best, I saw that there's this musician called Badly Drawn Boy, and I saw him at Blue Cats, and he came out and he said he played a song, and he was like, "Hey guys, here's what we're gonna do. I just released a new album. We're gonna play the full album from beginning to end, and then we're gonna take a 15-minute break and come out here, and whatever you want to hear, we'll play it."
That's genius.
Because the new album was like 38 to 42 minutes. And if he's playing for
That's
almost
perfect.
2 hours, then yeah. And that's what he did. And it was awesome. And the other one was Ben Folds. One of his shows at the Bijou, he handed you paper when you walked in and you wrote down what you wanted to hear, wadded
so
it up,
cool.
and threw it on stage.
That's so him.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, this is amazing. Yeah.
That's so cool. Like, I would love to do something like that. The only thing is, when you do that, depending on how big your back catalog is, you have to be really practiced up
Yeah.
and or have like the notes and the lyrics. I'm
Oh my God.
terrible with lyrics.
Although, and I told somebody this the other day, a dean got frustrated at me at one show. I went to see a show when they were doing Captain Redbeard, the covers stuff.
Yeah, the human karaoke or
Did a show at, what is it called? The place above Maple Hall, the bar that's up there, but did like a brunch show. And I get there and I'm sitting right down front, and there's, people scattered throughout. And I let a few songs go by, and he was like, and they were like, all right, what's next? He's like, yeah. I was like, Summer of '69, Bryan Adams. He's like, okay. Scrolls through, starts playing it. And then gets to the point and says, Jimmy quit, Jody got married. Did you just pick that because it has your name in it? I was like, yeah. And he's like, you're an idiot. And then went right back into it. And I was like, of course I did, because that's funny to me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Did you just pick that? Stop mid-song. You just picked this? I was like, uh-huh.
That is so good.
I was like, why not? It's the only song with my name in it. Of course I'm going to pick that. Yeah. All right. So is there anyone you would like to work with other than Joseph?
You got me.
Yeah.
So, Leanne the Havas. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Man. And Deep Sea Diver.
Okay.
And this might be cheating. I don't know. It's a producer.
I was going to
His
say, are there
name-
any female producers or
It's actually a man.
Okay.
Leggy Langdon, because he produced Joseph's Good Luck Kid and this new album, The Sun. And he's produced with a lot of people that like I really like, and sometimes I get told I sound like. I think he's worked with Haim, and I feel like he's worked with John Legend too.
Yeah.
But like he's worked with a ton of really cool artists that I like, and obviously he's worked with my favorites, so he'd be really cool to work with.
Did I ever tell you the first time I saw Haim was at a music festival? Where their name, everybody hated them, but they were hugely popular.
Greta
Shoot.
Van Fleet?
No, Awake My Soul, the folk band. They were one of the first ones to do the stomping clap.
Oh God, not stop. I call that folk. FAUXLK.
What? Mumford and Sons. So they did stopover shows, and they did one in Bristol, and it was great. The amount of bands they had, it was like an all day, but the opening band that day was Haim, and they were like a metal band. They were so heavy. And then when their album came out like a year and a half later, I was like, yes, can't wait. What is this pop crap? I was like, this is not my, they were like tearing it. And I think their brother was playing the drums.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like, what is happening? This is not the band I saw. Like,
change your heart.
Yeah. It's a bummer. Okay. Do you set goals or a checklist, or do you know what you would like to do in the next 10 years?
So yes, I do have goals and checklists. I've really kind of pulled back on the goals because COVID really screwed everything up.
Yeah.
But because like by 2025, I was supposed to be like headlining Lollapalooza, but
obviously.
Yeah. But like, no, for real though. I do have checklists. I like I said, I more so my goals have turned into I want to be a person who consistently writes songs on a regular basis, consistently does X for like drinks water every day or whatever.
Okay.
So more like those type of goals, because like hardcore SMART goals were like specific and time bound and all that became too much for me. I've always been a checklist person because I forget things all the time. So I'm still checklisting and always checklisting. Like I have this Google spreadsheet called Master Workbook. I cannot tell you how many pages or tabs or whatever it has, but it has all the. It's like I download it like once a month just in case something happens to Google and it goes down.
Yeah.
Like I'm a full on checklist spreadsheet type person. So, but goals for this year, one of my goals is to release an EP sometime in the fall.
Okay.
Release, I think 3 or 4 songs sometime this year also. And my goal, originally I had a goal to play like a ridiculous number of shows both in and out of town. And then I was like, you gotta remember you're not a robot. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. And the thing is, it's like I literally do everything by myself, except for when I'm on stage with a band. I have 2 live musicians with me, and I have Maya doing mixing and mastering. And every now and then I'll try to hire a graphic designer for cover art. I did my first one this year, and that'll be coming out March 14th.
Okay.
Called Awake. But like literally, it's just all me. So I gotta keep in mind, I can't do that. I gotta pick and choose my battles, you know. So I'm still gonna be playing a lot, but not like I had planned like 200 shows.
Well, I saw something
with a full-time job.
Something the other day says we're no longer artists, we're also content producers. And
oh yeah, like, for sure.
Good Lord, even that alone is a job into itself.
It literally is. You get on Indeed and type in content producer, social media manager. It's crazy. So like, yeah, I'm literally my booking agent, my manager, my accountant. I'm everything.
Oh my God.
But so like, yeah, so I'm still gonna be playing like at least once or twice a month in town and out of town. So it's not gonna be like 2 and 3 times a week in town and out of town.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not gonna be that 200 or 300 show thing. It's like, remember, I'm still writing and recording and in the studio and doing that part of it too. It's like I gotta remember, you know, it's just me. But so yeah, hopefully an EP in the fall and 3 or 4 more singles this year, and I'm trying to make videos for all of them too, which is fun.
Yeah, that's the creative part.
Yeah.
Last question, big question. If you could go back and talk to the 14-year-old version of yourself, what would you tell them?
Oh, that's a good one. I would tell her to quit basketball and play volleyball instead.
Oh God.
There's a whole backstory. I'm not gonna get into that. But it boils down to doing what you think is fun. I would say don't take school so seriously.
Okay.
And don't take life so seriously. Basically, I would tell her not to stress out and take more time to have fun and smell the roses, so to speak, and keep doing the music thing. That's gonna go somewhere. And be on the lookout for this band called Joseph and this site called Noise Trade.
Man, it all comes back to Joseph.
It really does. I'm kind of one of those crazy fans. Speaking of which, I found a fan group 2 years ago. It happened on one of they did a thing where it was like a live stream of a pre-recorded studio session, but they were in the chat with everybody. And it was so funny because apparently like all the super fans like me started showing up and connecting, and then word got out there was a fan group, and all of us were like, oh gosh, fan group. And this fan group is absolutely wild in the best way.
Oh my God.
It's so sweet. And it got to the point where like they slowly would announce shows for this coming tour, but like all of us were all over the United States. Even some people in the UK were like way out of their time zone. And like we pieced together the shows before they were even announced officially by the venues and by them. So much so that one of the admin, he had written out the whole tour poster and posted it like 3 days before Joseph posted the poster, and like days before the venues had even said the tickets were on sale, just from us checking each like of our main venues in our cities. Oh my God. And of course there's memes on memes on memes. But anyway, oh yeah, I would tell 14-year-old Shayla, don't take life so seriously. Like have fun, don't stress out is basically the bottom line of it. And keep the music thing going. Don't quit music is basically what I would tell her.
Okay. All right. That's good. Well, thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me. This is so much fun. I like this.